following is the procedure for public comment and participation. Individuals wishing to speak on agenda items must complete a sign-up card prior to the item being introduced. Those wishing to speak on quasi-judicial public hearings must complete a sign-up card and sign the oath. Sign-up and oath cards are available on the table. Individuals wishing to speak on non-agenda items may do so under petitions and requests from the public present. This opportunity is offered twice in the meeting, and individuals may speak at either the first or second petitions, but not both. No sign-up card is required. Citizens shall not comment on any issue more than once during the meeting. All comments except petitions and requests must address the pending issue, and citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak on agenda items. Next, citizens wishing to speak on the consent agenda must submit a sign-up card identifying the items of interest. Each speaker shall be limited to 3 minutes to speak on the entire consent agenda. And finally, all sign-up cards and exhibits being submitted to the City Council shall be placed in the box on the table.
The purpose of the City Council meeting is to discuss city business, and proper decorum must be displayed by all in attendance. Public input and participation is encouraged. However, all persons in attendance shall comply with the rules for meeting procedures and shall refrain from any action that disrupts the orderly proceedings of the council meeting or hinders a council from performing its duties. No person shall interfere with the rights of others to speak, hear, see, or attend the proceedings, make threats of violence, disrupt the proceedings with shouting, fail to confine remarks to the agenda item under consideration, nor continue to speak after the allotted speaking time has expired, as these actions shall be considered disruptive and disorderly. The mayor shall caution any person who violates these provisions and disrupts the orderly proceedings of the council meetings, and they shall be directed to comply. Any person who fails to comply as cautioned shall be ruled out of order, shall forfeit the remainder of their speaking time on the agenda item under consideration, and will be requested to return to their seat. Persons who fail to comply as directed shall be subject to removal from the council chambers by law enforcement or such other actions as may be reasonably necessary to enforce these regulations. Notwithstanding, the mayor may order the immediate removal of any person from the chambers who possesses a threat to property or life safety. Nothing in this section shall be construed to limit or restrict a person's right created by the Constitution, law, ordinance, or regulation.
Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to the City of Titusville City Council regular meeting September 9th, 2025 at 6:30. Call this meeting to order, and now I'd like to welcome Pastor Jeremy from Faith Baptist Church to give the invocation.
Thank you. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for the privilege that we have to come together this evening to do business for this great city, Titusville. We thank you for this town. Thank you for the blessing that it has been to us and to our families. We understand, Lord, that we are your servants tonight, and we have gathered to do your work. I pray for these who are seated in front of me, these seated behind me. Lord, I pray that in all things tonight we would honor you. Give us wisdom so that what is said and done here will bring glory to your name. Lord, we really are grateful that you have made us for these very days, and I pray that our children will come up behind us and will speak of the things that we have done here, and that they will recognize that what was done here was done for your glory. I thank you so much, most of all, for your son, Jesus. We know that you sent him to be the Savior. I pray that everyone here would know Jesus and that they would receive him for their very own Savior. We pray, Lord, that tonight you would bless this meeting. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Pastor. Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to make note that Vice Mayor Cole is really gung-ho today because he got us all off cadence with that Pledge of Allegiance.
Sorry about that.
I'm just giving you a hard time. All right. City Attorney, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mayor, we do.
All right. City Manager?
And there are no minutes to approve. Moving on to item 5, special presentations. We have a presentation by the Marketing Alliance on marketing, public relations, and communication strategy for the Economic Development Department. An action item is scheduled under the consent agenda later on. No action is requested for this presentation.
Thank you, City Manager.
Good evening. How are you? I believe I'm on. Thank you for having me back. My name is David Petter. I've been in front of you maybe 3 times now. The first was earning your business, and now today it's sharing all of the good work that we've done over the last year. I believe you're voting on our marketing plan, set of marketing plans tonight, but before you do that, I want to show you a little bit of what we've accomplished in just a few short months, probably about 11 months or so. But know that as I'm driving up here, I'm trying to think, what do I want to convey tonight? And I want to convey just a real gratitude to have the opportunity to tell your story. I think it's really important for us to understand the value proposition of Titusville, to understand the nuance of Titusville, to make sure that we're being responsible and not only thinking about the businesses that are here that we need to expand, but the type of companies that we want to bring here and be very intentional. I heard that from you on this last visit, is creating tools to tell the story of Titusville, but do so in a way that's really responsible, that really understands your value proposition, and measurable too. So I appreciate the chance to be in front of you today and answer any questions that you might have at the end of my conversation. All right, so the beginning, we put forth what I think is some of the best marketing planning work that our company's done, and we did so on a branding and messaging front, a public relations front, and a social media front. I believe you have the document from Nicholas Gao, who sent you that material as a PDF. I believe it's about 55 pages long, and in that document, we define the value proposition, the messaging, who we want to reach, how we measure success, potential tactics. It's a very robust document. It's a 3-year plan that should get broken out into additional work plans. I'm very proud of that piece, and it'll be something that'll inspire Nicholas and the broader team to help market this region for some time to come. In that marketing strategy, we define the target audiences, and this work is really not just about recruiting companies, but helping companies here have tools to expand, recruiting new talent, new residents, and new tourism. We identified some strategic industries in that plan, including aerospace, real estate, talking about nature and tourism, helping recruit workforce, and also talking about just the infrastructure and the connectivity of this wonderful place. One thing that we did, although we were just charged to come up with the plan, was to begin to equip Nicholas and the broader team with a toolbox of materials that he can use to help not only keep businesses here, but help expand businesses and attract new companies here. So these business development materials are focused on workforce, again, that infrastructure piece, the real estate offering as far as your business parks and your commercial real estate, an industry highlight in aerospace and defense, talking about the tourism opportunities, as well as just a general business attraction piece. These pieces can also fit in a pocket folder, again, using that very vibrant logo that you guys have invested in the past, which I was a little worried at the beginning if it felt a little bit too tourism. But with that other photography, I think it really pops as a colorful, vibrant, positive business development story. This is very hard to see, but hopefully you've seen it on your computers a little closer. But part of our process of developing a new website is first understanding the user experience of a website. Our company, as you know, has been in business for 24 years. We've worked in 29 states and 450 communities. And in that time, we've understood how someone processes an economic development website, really from left to right, to really understand how to tell the story in a way that's most efficient, most compelling. So this is called a wireframe document. We worked with your partner Civic Plus to help create the structure of the site. Below that wireframe is all the content that will live on the homepage. But it really starts with understanding how to tell the story, not just what the story is, but how to tell the story in a way that's very easy for someone, whether you're a site selector or a company or someone who wants to come here for the first time, how to understand what Titusville is really about. This is a mock-up of kind of the look and feel of where the homepage is going, as well as a Figma file, we call that on the right, to show us just kind of the real estate of the website. But again, really intentional in building this product for you to be not only a great message, but be easy to understand and compelling and dynamic. We've been in the market 3 times now, shooting drone videography and photography. I was actually here last week with the wonderful host of the Valiant Air Command Museum with some gentlemen. Here, we shot some testimonials in the museum and had a great few days capturing the stories of success with your business leaders, as well as Linda Weatherman at your regional EDO partner, talent partners, partners from NASA, from industry, had a really good couple days of hearing stories of success in the community, and those stories will be the ones that bring the Titusville story to life. We're working on a dynamic mapping system. What's interesting about Titusville is that you guys have really restricted airspace near your airport where a lot of your properties are, and it's very hard to fly a drone that close to the airport. So we're doing some very unique interactive maps and illustrated maps to tell the story of opportunity, not just the parcels that are available, but proximity to nearby employers, the 2 bridges over to the Space Coast, your education partners, quality of life features. We're launching a social media campaign when the website launches, which is tracking toward the end of this month. These will be very vibrant and colorful, and these will be mostly on LinkedIn, some Facebook, but to reach the business decision maker and the site selector will be on LinkedIn mostly. These are just general examples. They're not fully completed, but you can get a little idea of the flavor and tone of the work. We're also going to be launching a targeted advertising campaign in 3 site selection publications. As well as some newsletters. Those will be digital ads as well as print ads. We don't like doing a ton of print ads because they're hard to measure whether someone did something with that ad. So the digital marketing executions will allow us to see who's come to the website, what pages they visited, how long they were on the website, and we can see if we were successful. And if we're not successful immediately, we can modify the campaign. We can create new creative to pull more visitation to the website. We've worked with Nicholas and the broader team on a conference strategy to make sure that he's attending the right type of conferences that are related to your targeted industries, how to best use those conferences to meet with the right type of businesses, what follow-up looks like. It's very important that if Titusville is represented at these conferences, that they're really done well and it's a return on your investment. And then the next step is really looking for year 2. We've done the foundational work of the plan, which you've looked at and you'll vote on tonight. We've done the tools in the toolbox that Nicholas and the broader team need. Now we need to put the gas pedal down, and not gas pedal in the sense that we're just going to be flooring it for the sake of flooring it. But as we do know the message, we know what's resonating with site selectors and companies. We want to be very strategic and smart in telling that story through digital marketing, social media, maybe a lead generation campaign and some other tactics. And I believe that is it for me. So I'm happy to answer any questions now or later during your agenda item.
Thank you very much. Member Stokel?
Yes, thank you. 2 quick questions. Great presentation. I like the branding. I like the consistency. With the website and the social media, will those be on our current website and on utilizing our current social media names
Yes.
on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn? Or are you doing a separate?
The website will be part of your Civic Plus city site.
Okay.
But it'll be kind of a department experience within the city site. We'll also have a custom URL that will track someone directly to that part of your website.
Okay.
So someone can find it through your city site or they can find it through that vanity URL. As far as the social media channels, I believe they're part of the city's
Perfect.
domain. We recognize that we have to be, very good about sunshine law and make sure that everything is tracked and recorded. So I'll follow up for sure, but I'm 95%.
No, I think that would be great, especially as we're trying to beef those up and make them, more engaging and marketing and branding ourselves as a city. I think this just adds to it. So
Yeah.
well done.
And I think Nicholas's group will tell the economic development story, and then we'll work with your PIO to weave in Nicholas's story into the broader city story. So there'll be kind of 2 ways to tell that. I call it the legs of the stool. Like Nicholas has the economic development platform, and he has the 4 legs of economic development, where your city might have 16 legs talking about fire and police and everything else.
Yep.
One of those legs will be economic development. We'll make sure we're working with your PIO to get that content to her.
No, which I think is great, and I think that's something we're trying to do when we're trying to be more transparent and engaging, and so sharing this piece, I think, is just adding to that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Stokel. I did have a quick question, maybe for the city manager. Does the city have a LinkedIn page?
So, yeah, what type of a page?
Does the city have a LinkedIn page?
I believe so.
Okay. I'm not on LinkedIn,
I'd
so
have
I
to
have
check
no
on
idea.
that, though, but I believe we do.
We do.
Because I know that's a big part of the overarching strategy, so I figured I'd ask that question. And then also, in terms of budget, city manager, how much are we allocating for in this proposed upcoming 2026 budget for marketing, specifically with economic development?
I don't have that number offhand. Perhaps Brad? you
I
have
didn't
that.
bring my budget with me either, so I apologize. I was just wondering because, while we have you here, wanted to figure out what you think the best ad spend would be. I mean, I know you're going to say, $10 million, but
Yeah,
you know,
I wouldn't say that.
realistically, bang for buck, where do you see the most leverage?
Well, we're gonna allocate, I believe, about 50,000 for the digital marketing campaign that I talked about, those 4 publications. I would think you'd want to spend between another 60 or 80 in year 2. We had 89,500, I believe, for the first year, so I think we could scale it back a touch. But I think to be competitive compared to your neighboring counties, we do work for St. Johns County. We hope to win Clay County. We do work hopefully soon in Fort Myers. We just got Okeechobee. So we do a lot of work in Florida, and we know what your peers are spending. I think you want to be at 80-ish for a year, and then go from there. But I'd like to present that more package with Nicholas so you can see where that money goes.
Thank you very much. And I think we did keep it flat from last year to this year, if I remember correctly. It was like 89 in 2025 and 89 in 2026. Am I correct?
I believe so, but we'll have to verify.
Yeah. So I appreciate that information.
Yeah.
City Council, do you have any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for your time,
Thank you.
sir. City Manager?
Next item is a nanobubble technology presentation, and a representative from Moliere Incorporated will give a presentation on nanobubble technology, and no action is requested.
Thank you, City Manager. You have the floor, sir.
Mayor, City Council, City Manager, thank you for having me today. We put together a short presentation here on who our company is, some of our experience, and then what we've contemplated for a solution here to improve water quality in the Indian River Lagoon at Titusville. Moliere, we're a Los Angeles-based company. Don't hold it against me. But we have about 100 people in the company. We're only 9 years old, but we have over 4,000 installations in 55 countries, with about 700 of those in natural water bodies. I've been with the company 5 years. I'm our global director for the surface water program. And while we are a widget manufacturer, a nanobubble generator, we're a 100-person company, and about 15 to 20% of them are really environmental scientists. They're experts in the applications we work. My team is headed by, the technical group is headed by Dr. Devota, former advisor to the United Nations, our government, and the Singapore government. And then we have a Harvard-educated limnologist who develops monitoring plans to quantify the impacts and benefits that we bring in water bodies. Nobody here went to school learning what a nanobubble generator is, so let me just give you a little bit of a background in it. So it's really whether it's floating on the surface on a barge of a water body or it's on shore, it has 3 basic parts and they work the same way, whether it's floating or on the shore. It's pumping water, taking the water out of the water body and putting it right back in. So it's a recirculation pump. That's not a pump we invented. We just use industry-leading pumps. 2, there's an air system in that. That air system in some cases can be as simple as an air compressor. But in other cases, especially in challenging water quality, that also usually has an oxygen concentrator that just separates the nitrogen out of the air and makes a more pure form of oxygen. You probably have that equipment in a hospital that's a regional hospital nearby. And then the third piece on the gas system that we also utilize is an ozone generator. We're partnered with the Brevard County. We're proud to partner with the Brevard County manufacturer, Pinnacle Ozone. Chuck Smith, the CEO of Pinnacle Ozone, in the crowd right here. So we take that air and it goes into the third piece, the piece that we invented, that we have over a dozen patents on and dozens more pending, a nanobubble generator. That's not down in the water body, but it's actually off the pump. And as the water is running through that device, the air is getting injected into it, and that air is then dissolved into the water. And 2, it's making these tiny bubbles the size of a bacteria. A billion of them in the tip of your finger. That size is really important. When you put these bubbles in water, they act fundamentally different than like other aeration systems that you may have in your county or in your city parks, or that you might be more familiar with, where those bubbles start on the bottom and then they rise to the top. These bubbles, because of that size, lack buoyancy, and they have a strong negative charge. What that allows you to do is take that dissolved gas combined with these tiny bubbles and treat large areas of a water body from a single treatment point, and not just improve the aerobic condition of the water itself, but most importantly, at the bottom of the water body. You call it the sediment-water interface. That's where a lot of the bad things that are contributing to your poor water quality are happening, because of not having oxygen at that level. Let's dive into a couple case studies here. One, Satellite Beach. City of Satellite Beach owns one of our smaller units. We used to sell our equipment through lake management companies. We've now turned to selling more of them directly and then focusing on larger projects. But this is in Satellite Beach, where we improve the water quality of a canal, and then by improving that aerobic condition, the amount of oxygen in the water, then the bacteria that's already in the water body consume or aerobically decompose the muck that's on the bottom, therefore reducing that oxygen demand further and allowing you to keep that oxic at the bottom, stopping the nutrients from coming out of the bottom of the water body that then are feeding cyanobacteria. That cyanobacteria is when there's no oxygen, that phosphorus is getting pumped from the bottom, feeding that cyanobacteria, and that decreases the water quality and water clarity. So by Satellite Beach and putting this system in, they improve their water clarity by stopping those nutrients from coming from the bottom, therefore improving the water clarity. That water clarity isn't just pretty, but what it is it actually then allows more light to penetrate, and you get a more natural ecosystem to flourish. All of the things in the food web, the bugs that eat the algae, the minnows then that eat those bugs, and then the predator fish that come and eat those. And so it really not only improves the beauty of the water, but it improves the food web as itself. Another private golf club in Florida, picture's worth 1,000 words, so that's why we included that one. Pretty dramatic picture of before and after. Now I'm going to switch to the second largest lake in California, 3,300 acres, receives 6.5 million gallons of wastewater a day, otherwise it'd evaporate. This lake has spent tens of millions of dollars studying their problem, and they installed an aeration system back in 2006. Yet, 5 out of the last 7 years before they installed our systems, the lake was closed because of poor water quality, and not just poor water quality, but toxins that are being released by this toxic algae. They purchased one system for a 3,300 acre lake. They took their 30-year average of water clarity that was 8 inches, and in 60 days improved it to 12 feet. 8 inches to 12 feet in 60 days, while they're receiving 6.5 million gallons of wastewater a day. This is all data that's been gathered by third-party consultants that advise the city of Lake Elsinore. Based on those results, dramatic results in improving water clarity, reducing cyanobacteria, and then reducing coliforms, they purchased 2 more systems that were installed. Those systems showed up on a semi on a Monday and were running by Friday, floating on barges in the lake. About a mile away from the nearest treatment point in this 3,300 acre lake, they have record dissolved oxygen levels in the bottom of the lake and throughout the lake. Be glad to send you a letter of recommendation and the contact information for that city. To show that it works in lots of different environments, I have one included here from Minnesota, where a larger lake was feeding into a smaller lake. This watershed group was interested in treating several lakes that were thousands of acres. But again, this system had one larger lake full of cyanobacteria and toxins that were feeding into a bottom lake where all the kids fished. They deployed one system. It was there for about 90 days. In that 90 days, they doubled their water clarity. They reduced their phosphorus levels. And then more than anything, not just reducing that cyanobacteria, but they also improved their food web throughout the entire water body. Here's one in Wisconsin, where we reduced a foot of muck in 75 days by treating a marina in a 900-acre marina. Here's one in South Africa that gets tens of millions of gallons of wastewater, untreated, raw sewage a day. They deployed one system in this 6,000-acre lake where this sewage was coming in. Dramatic improvement in water clarity, and then they improved the resiliency of the water body to be able to handle those contaminants coming in. The why it works isn't specific to Moliere. That's the way water bodies work. You go to the university and you study environmental science or limnology, this is what you get taught. That when you have an oxic condition, you have oxygen at the bottom of a water body, and by stopping those nutrients from coming out of the bottom and improving water clarity, you gain a more resilient system. The why it works isn't specific to us. What's specific to Moliere is the ability to treat a large area from a single treatment point and have how these little bubbles can catalyze biological, chemical, and physical interactions in the water to then bring an outsized benefit. So what we've contemplated and looked at for the Indian River Lagoon is to install one system floating on a barge, similar to that you saw on Lake Elsinore. The system would run about 4,500 gallons a minute. To have about 100 pounds an hour of oxygen being injected in, and then with a variable dose of ozone to be able to help mitigate coliform reduction and help degrade organics as well. Our team has developed this solution and this prescription based on the bathymetry, how deep it is, how the water flows and moves, wind fetch, all being considered. And so we haven't exactly identified a exact point, but a range within the city of where this system could get installed. What would need to happen is the system would get built at a boat ramp. Usually takes about a week to get these off the semi and put into the water body, pushed into place. There's big spuds that go down from that barge, as you can see sitting up there, and it acts like a floating dock. And so it can handle inclement weather, hurricanes. It can handle variable water depth. It's 2 sea containers that are housing this system, easily maintained, but that's just put into place. You connect it with power, and it's running that same week or the next. Some schematics and pictures of what the inside of the containers would look like. That's how it was installed there at Lake Elsinore. A picture of the intake screens, which keep animals, and a NOAA-compliant intake screen, which keeps animals and deleterious materials from getting into it. There's a picture of those spuds. Types of barges like that are used commonly in the area. Typically, it's an excavator sitting on it when it's doing like a bridge work or something like that. The expectation of results would be within the first weeks to months. Improved oxygen levels and resilience of the water body. Call that the ORP, the oxidative reduction potential of the water body. Improved water clarity, reduced fecal bacteria levels. And then after months, you'd see reduced blue-green algae that comes with that improved water clarity. You'd see measurable improvements in the oxygen levels throughout the entire water column, but specifically at the bottom. You'd see a reduction in the muck on the bottom, the accumulated organics. That's robbing the bottom of the water body of the oxygen, and then it's constantly causing these nutrients to come out of the bottom. And so we'd see a dramatic reduction in the organic sediments that are on the bottom, and then reduced total coliform levels. In installations all across the world, we've reduced coliform levels within days to weeks. Most importantly, we did a project permitted by the Army Corps of Engineers in a 16-mile canal in Los Angeles, which was the largest stormwater environmental incident in the United States history. We deployed within 48 hours to deploy 50,000 gallons a minute of nanobubble generators. Thousands of people were taken out of their homes. The stench was so bad and toxic at the cost of the county. We brought those people back in under a month when it was estimated it would take months to years by the Army Corps of Engineers. Now, we don't just rely on subjective analysis of how it works, but instead we develop really robust monitoring plans and collaborate with local stakeholders, including FDEP, who just awarded a $2 million grant to the city of Winter Park for a system to be installed on Lake Virginia. I did a presentation to their water group this morning. Here's a letter of recommendation from the city of Lake Elsinore after purchasing one system. They were so happy they wrote this letter, and then they purchased 2 other systems. So what I'm proposing is to be able to contemplate and look at a solution to be able to improve water quality and resiliency of the Indian River Lagoon, to dramatically improve that recreation and usability of that water body and the safety of that water body, to naturally degrade contaminants and things that are robbing that water body of staying resilient and working over time, to have measurable results, and to collaborate with local stakeholders, including FDEP and any other regulatory bodies who commonly permit our applications, and to bring peace of mind to the citizens of Titusville to be able to go and use their water body and fully recreate in it, and to have that for their children. I'd be glad to take any questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Member Nelson?
You make me wish I'd paid more attention than science. So I'm very impressed with it. So question, though, it sounds like there's no harm to the environment from this.
Correct.
And is the proposal just to do Scobie Park and then expand outward?
Yeah, what we're looking at right now is to get a initial installation in the Indian River Lagoon to show the improvement in one area and the ability to impact a large area from a single treatment point, and then to look at how to scale that greater through the Indian River Lagoon.
So what kind of permits are required?
Yeah, typically it's an FDEP permit, and then there may be an Army Corps of Engineers permit, but we are working on the exact permits that would be needed right now, and I can come back to you with a full comprehensive list. But
Okay.
we permit these applications around the world, and we've never encountered a scenario where we were not able to get a permit. It's just what's required, what monitoring plan, and then who's responsible for what.
Okay. And time frame for permits?
Timeframe for permits, so we're working with a municipality just to the south, and we're working through permits there, and the regulatory agency we're working with there said it would take 30 days. Now,
Wow.
I think that's potentially a little optimistic, but it's their lowest level permit that they issue is where our technology would fall. And so it's actually just a procedural permit. Turn in the paperwork, as long as it has all of the drawings and information that they're requesting, then it's just pay the fee and get the permit.
Okay. You're working with Winter Park?
Excuse me?
You're working with Winter Park?
I'm sorry.
Winter Park.
Winter Park.
Winter Park, yes, we
Lake
are.
Virginia.
Yes, Lake
Okay.
Virginia, yes, we are.
So have
We're
you
going through
started?
permitting, we're working on permitting, there's a meeting with FDEP next week.
Okay. Do you have an idea when that project would start?
Yeah, we're, because that's a part of the innovation grant, it takes a little longer to get things done, but it looks like it's going to be late first quarter, early second quarter next year.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for your questions.
Thank you, Member Nelson. Member Moscoso?
Thank you. I have just a few questions. So what are the upfront and ongoing costs to deploy and maintain this kind of device?
Yeah, great question. So the upfront cost in a system like this is about $2.5 million. And the upkeep of it, it's electricity and then some service plans. We have a local provider as far as it takes care of the most maintenance intensive part of the system. The air compressor of all things is the most maintenance intensive, but being partnered with Pinnacle Ozone here in Brevard County allows us that, as well as there's local manufacturer support for that. And so the ongoing operating cost is electricity and then some service costs. My estimation right now would be about $150,000 to $200,000 a year.
And then the initial $2 million, you said?
Yeah,
Okay.
$2 to $2.5 million.
Okay, and then, so I signed up, I went onto your website and signed up and saw all the projects that you've done. But, you know, the Indian River Lagoon is extremely special.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge body of water. And so have you had any pilot projects or any evidence for the use in brackish water?
We have, yeah. So we have two divisions that work specifically in ocean environments. Our subsidiary based in Norway and Chile work with the largest fish producers in the world in open pen fish production in the ocean. And so we have significant experience there. That project that I spoke about in Los Angeles County, that was a brackish tidal stormwater canal that's connected to the Pacific Ocean, and so that was brackish as well. But we have dozens of projects in surface water that are in brackish or marine environments, as well as in City of Cape Town in South Africa. We have one as well. That's a brackish project. And then our aquaculture division working in marine environments every day.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, it works better when there's a little bit of salinity in the water because the salt ions allow you to dissolve the gas even more efficiently and make more nanobubbles.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Moscoso. Member Stokel?
Yes, my two questions actually relate to those two questions that were just asked. So what is it, my first one is, what is it that you're asking from us right now in terms of cost or anything?
I'm asking for consideration to be able to work with us to look at the plan and to see if this is something that the community would be interested in, and then to work on a collaborative funding approach to be able to fund the project.
Okay, so just right now, it seems like time for discovery to see what would be feasible potentially, and then maybe this would be something we would seek out grant funds for, state appropriation for. Okay.
That's right.
And then the second one would be, the lagoon does seem significantly larger than what you guys have done in the past, just looking at the acreage that you showed in your presentation. Would this be more of an experiment to see if this could work in this particular body of water with the large scale of it? Or do you know for certain that it would work? Where are you in that point with what you guys do?
Yeah, good question. So the size of this isn't that large. The entire lagoon,
Yes.
that's large. But we work in parts of the ocean. The systems that you've seen deployed here are not our largest systems. We don't
Okay.
try to put the largest system out there and just guess. So what we contemplated here was the primary area of impact would be somewhere between 500 and 1,000 acres for one system. To be able to treat in this area, and then to be able to look to measure and quantify the impacts and how far that is spreading, and then to look at what subsequently we would need to deploy to be able to continue that treatment.
Okay. And I think we are doing a lot, I think, for our portion of the lagoon, and then there's others that are, and I think
That's right.
it's something that we would want maybe the entire state to get on board with.
Yes.
So we're not, investing a lot and then other people are starting to impact. So I think that's kind of where my mind is going with that. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah, 100% agree on that approach.
Thank you, Member Stokel. Vice Mayor Cole.
You mentioned that it runs off electricity. Is it directly wired, or is it a generator that you use on board?
Yeah, it's directly wired from shore. So all of the systems.
So you run underwater cables to it, or is
Correct.
it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but this wouldn't need to be very far offshore. The reason to put it on the floating barge is to allow for some variability in water depth, and then so you don't have to do a lot of site work, and it makes it for a really easy installation. Is the primary reason to sit on a barge, but it doesn't need to be out in the middle of the lagoon. Your depth profile here in the lagoon, kind of in the area that we're looking, is actually suitable where it wouldn't have to be very far out, and so that power cable wouldn't be very far.
And your footprint wouldn't be that high because we do get hurricanes and very high winds, so.
Yep.
Have you experienced that type of environment before where you may have up to 90, 100 mile an hour winds coming in on it?
Yeah, we have been in environments where there have been high winds like that. I don't know of our systems here. We probably have 50 small systems all throughout Florida. And some have all of them have been through hurricanes, some making it just fine and some getting flooded. The reason to have this on the floating barge would allow it to then not get flooded. And those big spuds that you saw pushing down, that's what allows it to really be able to maintain in those kind of conditions. But we would work with the engineers to be able to ensure that was as secure as possible.
Thank you. When you were giving your presentation, I thought I was in an environmental engineering class. I almost went to sleep. No.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Cole. I would just like to piggyback off on a couple of things that the discussion and the questions were. First of all, thank you for the presentation. I had an opportunity to sit on a webinar with you and Laura Lee and kind of going through a lot of these things, which it sounds to me like, Laura Lee, I'm not speaking out of turn, but you're pretty supportive of this idea, correct? Absolutely. All right, thank you. I was just checking to make sure you're awake. And one of the first case studies on the screen was the city of Satellite Beach. So about 10 days ago, I was driving through Satellite Beach, and I was like, well, let me give their mayor a call. Mm-hmm. And so I called up their mayor and asked him about the experiment, if you want to call it that, in one of their man-made canals that doesn't get a whole lot of water or circulation moving through it. And he said that, there was a noticeable difference between that canal that was treated with this type of technology versus the other canals. I mean, I know results may vary, but, that seemed to be pretty positive. Member Stokel, to your point about how this lagoon is not just Titusville's responsibility, it's everybody's. Yeah. I get that. However, I would just caution you that I don't think any state appropriations dollars will be given for a project like this because they've already, as a legislator, earmarked a bunch of money for the lagoon. So I think we need to, if we were going to explore this idea, not only have the folks at Moliere work with our engineers that know what they're talking about, kind of work together on a possible plan and seek out other funding and grant opportunities either through FDEP, through the innovation grant that was mentioned, and through Sorrel. I can tell you that the current cash balance on hand for the Indian River Lagoon Fund is $428 million. I think they have some money that they could potentially, lend out. Whether they agree to that or not, I don't know, but I think that's worth exploring so that it's not just on City of Titusville taxpayers. But I think our goal in terms of quality of life has always been very consistent ever since I've been paying attention and living in Titusville, is that the Indian River Lagoon is very, very important to us, and we need to explore every avenue to protect it and improve it. So with that being said, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
City Manager?
Moving on to item 6, boards and commissions. The first item is the 2025-2026 Student Advisory Council membership appointments. And the recommended action is to confirm Mr. Mikhail Ronstrom from the Academic Community Enrichment 12th grade, Ms. Trinity Johnson, Academic Community Enrichment 10th grade, Ms. Jackie Willis, Academic Community Enrichment 9th grade, Mr. David Spieler, Titusville High School 9th grade, and Ms. Kylie Miller, Astronaut High School 9th grade, as members of the 2025-2026 Student Advisory Council as nominated from their schools.
Thank you very much, City Manager. Are any of those folks here? No, well, sir, you just fill out the card. Is anybody here to talk on this issue, City Clerk? Yes. All right. City Council? Well, anybody want to make a motion to confirm these folks? Member Nelson?
Move to confirm the aforementioned people as members of the Student Advisory Council membership.
Second.
I have a motion from Member Nelson, second from Vice Mayor Cole. Any further discussion on this item from council? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. City Manager?
Item 6B is the Planning and Zoning Commission semi-annual report. And the Planning and Zoning Commission has submitted a semi-annual written report that is included in your agenda packet, and no action is requested.
Thank you very much. City Clerk, is there any cards on this? No, already. City Council, you have anything about that? Seeing none. All right. Now we're to the petitions and requests from the public, non-agenda items. Ms. Laura Lee.
Laura Lee Thompson, 3550 Irwin Avenue, Mims. So everybody saw how clear the lagoon was even 2 months ago. And I mean, we had water clarity that like we haven't seen in years. And the fishing was better in Mosquito Lagoon. Seagrass is coming back. Well, now we have an algae bloom. I've been going down to the Rotary Pier and just marveling at the seagrass bed that's growing right there at Rotary Pier. You can't see the bottom in 12 inches of water now. I water test up at Beacon 42 boat ramp every Saturday, and as the algae blooms, got worse and worse and worse, there's usually 20 or 30 trucks and trailers up there on a Saturday morning, and the fishing was really, really good. But then the algae bloom came, and every week there's less. And so last Saturday when I was up there were 2 trucks and trailers. And I talked to the kayakers that had been out fishing. They didn't catch anything. So the fish have left. So we got an algae bloom going on. We have a muck problem. This technology could be a game changer for the Indian River Lagoon, an absolute game changer. And if it does reduce the bad stuff that's on the bottom of the lagoon for much lower costs than mechanical dredging and much less environmental impact than mechanical dredging, there's no telling how wonderful it could be. So Titusville has the opportunity to be the test thing. It could be us. I'm really excited about this project. I can hardly stand it, but I'm trying to be calm. This is a huge opportunity for us to really, really look good and clear the water up. around, right there at Scoby Bark and along the bridge, along the causeway, along the shoreline going south, all those homeowners that have these little pockets of muck in front of their docks and stuff, all that potentially could be cleaned up. And I don't know how long this algae bloom is gonna last. It's already been going on for probably 3 months in Mosquito Lagoon, but it came through Haulover Canal and went into the north end of the lagoon, and now it's moving south. It could last for a long, long time. But with this technology, if another algae bloom comes, you'd have the ability to get rid of the algae bloom. So I encourage you, this is a really good opportunity for Titusville to shine and get something really, really positive done for the lagoon. And if it works, it could be a game changer for the lagoon, and we would be at the forefront. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lurley. And to piggyback on that, my conversations with Dr. Fox at FIT, who is the leading lagoon researcher, says the biggest problem is lack of oxygen. So kind of makes sense. But anybody else for petitions or requests from the public, non-agenda items? I'm not seeing any.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I have 3 cards that did not put an item on their card that may want to speak under this section. The first one is Robert, not sure the last name, but it's a gentleman sitting right here.
I'm sorry, is there a particular item you wanted to speak on, sir? Mr. Robert, what item on the agenda did you want to speak on? What agenda item did you want to speak on?
I can't understand, I'm hearing.
What agenda item did you want to speak on?
On the display of the American flag.
Okay, so that would be here.
Okay, well, you can, yeah. All right, thank you. You can take the podium and let us know what you think.
My name is Robert Wilson. I preside at Swan Lake Estates here off of South Street, and I'm here right now in regard to the display of the American flag, primarily at the fire department right across the street. I've stopped there at least in the last 2 months 5 times trying to get somebody the idea that the flag is displayed the wrong way. They've got the American flag on the right side, and I don't know what kind of flag's on the left side. And it should be, the American flag should be on the left side, facing the, looking at, from the observer's point of view, as it states right in those seats. But nobody has done anything about it, and I talked to the flag committee, and she said, Gail Gilchrist, and she stated that she was giving an email, but she didn't respond back to me. So either whoever's got the authority to help the fire department to display the flag right. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you very much, sir, for coming in.
That's all.
City manager, can you look into that?
Yes, sir, I'll take that for action.
Thank you. All right, we'll get on it.
That's all?
Yep, that's it. Appreciate you. City clerk?
I have a card for Barbara Evans.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara Evans, 1534 Riverside Drive, Titusville. I'm a third-generation Floridian, and I've been a resident of Titusville since 1960. I'm here to honor my late husband's legacy and the concerned citizens of Titusville's legacy. My husband, John Hank Evans, was a champion for Titusville, a well-respected attorney, a Canaveral Port Authority Commissioner, and Titusville Man of the Year. He founded the original Save Our Beach in 1980 because in 1980, NASA wanted us off the beach permanently for the space shuttle. The town rallied in full force, and we obviously won. But now, once again, our access is threatened. So now the new Save Our Beach group needs your help. We feel our quality of life and property values will be diminished if our beach is taken, just like in Boca Chica, Texas. I don't know if you guys have researched anything that's going on there. It's not pretty. Those citizens are miserable, and they're suing, and for many reasons, they're upset. And we fear that could be us. Even Vandenberg recently said no more Starlink launches. What's that about? This rocket is 44 stories tall, has a sonic boom 10 times louder than anything we've experienced, and the FAA said it would affect 82% of the residents. And it would shut down even more airspace to the airlines, i.e. the tourists, many of whom are coming to Playa Linda. Even the Port Authority doesn't want it here. And here's a copy of their letters. John Murray of Canal Port Authority. So this is what I think is the most compelling solution. 10 years ago, the FAA said no action was to be taken on the SpaceX request to build a launch pad at Shiloh on the Merida Island Refuge. Not very far from where they want to expand now. This location is no different as far as the impact on the environment. They're just so close. And it will have the same concerns and problems. So it should be the same decision that the FAA made before. A precedent has been set, as far as I'm concerned. We were led to believe that we were going to have our beach, and now it's like double jeopardy or something. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Hank and our huge group, Save Our Beach, got the existing beach road built in 1990. I have 4 albums of press clippings. It was an amazing effort. Senator Bill Nelson helped us immensely.
Ms. Evans, I'm sorry, I gotta stop you. I gotta give everybody the same amount of time.
Oh my gosh, I've never done this
I'm
before.
sorry. It's all right.
I have a very important question, though, at the very bottom. May I ask that, please?
I can not give you more time, only council can. So, hold on, Ms. Evans, hold on. Don't
Can we
run away.
give Ms. Evans another 15 seconds or 30, make it
I have
30?
a motion. Second. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Okay, thank you.
So I just gotta follow the rules. Sorry, Ms. Evans.
Okay, real fast. The city council before wholeheartedly publicly supported our cause. We don't have a Hank to represent us anymore, so we need a new hero, and it should be you, the current council. Now, my question is, who represented the city of Titusville at the FAA meetings?
Thank you, Ms. Evans.
No answer?
Member Nelson?
Well, let me say this. I hate the idea of losing our beaches. And I do have a problem with the spaceships and that huge sonic boom. I live on the river.
So do I.
It scares the heck out of my poor cat. Probably
My windows rattle.
all the animals.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Scares the heck out of me. And I can see as I would ask council to consider writing a letter of concern regarding this matter.
Thank you very much, Member Nelson. Thank you very much, Ms.
Okay, but
Evans.
you will not answer my question.
I'm pretty
Who
sure.
represented, I emailed you and asked you the question and you didn't respond, and now you're not responding in public. I think the public needs the right to know who represented Titusville at this important juncture of our future. Okay, I'll video it and then you'll tweet, won't you?
Well, thank you. Mr. Parrish? Who was at the FAA meeting?
We did have a couple of staff members from our department attend the first public meeting they had last week. That was Economic Development Director Nicholas Gao and Sustainability Planner Lily Galeo.
Thank you. Did anybody on council attend? No. Okay, so at least we cleared that up. Member Moscoso?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that a video was put out from the city of Titusville saying that we were in discussion with SpaceX and NASA and the FAA. And so I was also curious who's in discussion. Mayor, you put that video out, so who's in discussion?
Well, our city staff was at the meeting, right?
Well, we have an official seat at the table with the FAA and NASA only related to historic preservation. The EIS, or the Environmental Impact Statement study that the FAA is doing, requires a federal review, part of the federal review requires a historic preservation component. And because the city has several resources that are on the national historic list, we are part of that review. So they consult with us. We're a consulting party, basically. So that is our official role. But that is still we're in negotiations with them, with other consulting parties on an agreement of monitoring certain historic structures in the area, not just in Titusville, a large area, as far as impact from the Starship. But beyond that, there's no other official relationship that we have in this project.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just curious because in the mayor's minute, it says working closely with SpaceX, NASA, FAA, state agency on launch safety and beach access communication. So we're not doing those things about beach access. It was news to me because I'm not in communication. So when I hear the mayor say launch safety and beach access communication, I'm curious to who. Is that you, Mr. Mayor?
Well, our staff did, when they attended that first public hearing, did ask those questions. And so at the meeting, from what I understand, there was some clarification provided to us about those closures, that would happen 2 hours or 2 hours after, before and 2 hours after each of those particular launches or landings. But we would have to meet with or ask more questions to see, get more specifics on that.
Could you provide us with that information about those meetings?
Sure.
Thank you.
Member Stokel?
Yeah, just to piggyback on that. So at those meetings, when we have staff there, are they interested in our opinion, in the county's opinion, or do you get the feeling that the federal government's going to make its decision? Like, to Member Nelson's point, could we write a letter to show, and would they, I don't know because I wasn't at that meeting, to see can we engage in that type of relationship?
The public input portion of the study is now. I mean, I think there's another week or two left. So yes, this is the opportunity now to provide a letter or a comment.
Yeah, I think then I would be in support of us doing a letter on behalf of the citizens and the residents, because I think some of us that have lived here for a while know that when it would shut down for the shuttle program. And so if we're looking at potentially extending that, I think there's discussion about it being 60 days. I think that they just need to know a little bit about the history. Our residents use that. I don't know where the closest natural beach is. So I would be in favor of the letter.
Is that a motion?
That would be a motion.
This would be a
Everybody
second.
jumped in. All right, so I have a motion and I have a second. Anybody from the crowd would like to speak on this particular motion of us writing a letter? Member Tony Schifolo, Miss Schifolo. I meant to say Miss and I said meh.
Schifolo, Tropic Street. Speaking to this, a letter would be a start. I am afraid when people are looking at it and they're saying, oh, it's bringing jobs, it's not going to bring that many jobs to begin with. And what they're talking about is at Launch Pad 37 on the Space Center, they're talking about 66 launches with the heavy Starship, the two segments will return. Each segment will return. So 66 launches, that's 130, you do the math, 132 sonic booms from that. Then down at Launch Pad 39, which will close our beach, they're talking about, is that the one where they're talking about 44 launches, which again is going to be 88 sonic booms from the Heavy coming back and from the Starship coming back. So we're talking about not just, oh, it's only going to be about 60 launches, so the sonic booms. And yes, we're participating in monitoring our historic structures after the fact. When it's already built and the booms are happening, what are they going to do when the bank building over here on Main Street, which is one of our historic structures that's being monitored, starts cracking and falling apart, or some of the older houses, or even, heaven forbid, City Hall? So yes, please, a letter is the bare minimum that we should be doing to save our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schifolo. City Clerk, just let you know the clock was not running, but thank you, Ms. Schifolo, for keeping it tight. All right, so I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion from this council? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. City Clerk, I think there was another card with no agenda item.
Yes, and I'm not going to try to pronounce this. The first name is Moste, and the last name is? Okay. Okay. Would you like to speak under petitions? Okay.
I put it in writing also, so I'll give it in hand.
Thank you.
Good evening to Mayor and council members. Thank you for the opportunity they're giving me to speak. Before I start, I would like to thank you. I'm in touch with the planning department for the last few months. I was getting very special service. I believe someone's running the show and giving them the feelings and the way to do it. And if spoken before regarding PR of the city, that's doing excellent before any PR is being done. Thank you. My name is Moshe Rosenbaum, and I'm here respectfully to request that the City Council, the city to consider reclarifying Tropic Street as a collector roadway. The changes will align with existing development. Tropic Street already supports growing residential patterns and connects to Rock Pit Road and South Street, both which are established corridors. The plus of changing Tropic Street as a collector roadway would encourage smart growth. A collector road designation would allow for modernate residential density that's compatible with the surrounding uses and allowing the city comprehensive planning. Additionally, Tropic Street is already paved and accessible, and the change will allow the city make better use of existing infrastructure without requiring major public investment. I believe that the small adjustment can bring long-term value, enhancing planning flexibility, creating housing opportunities, and supporting the city's strategic developing plans. I had put up the booklets with a bit more explaining my request. And additional to that, there's a traffic report that had been done on the street that could hold it up with this.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I'm sure we'll read this and.
I have a second. I really appreciate the consideration from yours, and I'll be happy to hear.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Member Moscoso?
I'm sorry, can I just ask a quick question? Do you own the property on Rock Pit and Tropic Street?
On Tropic Street, I'm on the contract on a lot on Tropic Street.
So you do own a piece of property there. I think the issue here, I think we all know, is that Tropic Street, you can't build multifamily, and I do believe you've maybe a colleague of yours has come before and it got denied. If this is the same project because of that, so I'm just
not what I know of.
Okay, well,
because I had been in touch with a planning department, and they wanted to change something on that lot, and they had told me that the only way that anything could be done on Tropic Street is just reclassifying the street.
Yeah, right now a multifamily is not allowed on that street unless it is reclassified. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. All right. Anybody else for petitions and requests, non-agenda items? Seeing none. City manager, before we get into consent agenda I just want to let all of council know that, if you want to speak in favor of an agenda item, you don't necessarily have to pull it to speak in favor. When we have general discussion on the consent as a whole, that'd be a good opportunity to do that so that we can move right along. City Manager?
Yes, sir. We have 14 items on the consent. And do any members of council wish to pull any of those items for further discussion?
Member Scoso?
Yes, 8A, please. Sorry, 8A.
8A.
That kind of runs together where it's like 88. All right. Council members? I do have some clarifying questions for consent, but I'm not going to pull any items. So we have one item pulled, B through M we'll be considering. City Manager?
So I will read items B through M for the record. Consent agenda item 8B, equipment vehicle lease purchase agreement. Approve resolution number 15-2025, authorizing the execution and delivery of financed equipment vehicles. All subsequent equipment vehicle schedules with the Bank of America Public Capital Corporation. Authorizing the execution and delivery of an escrow agreement, if necessary, in connection with the acquisition, purchase, financing, and leasing of certain equipment vehicles for an amount not to exceed $16 million. Authorize the mayor, city manager, and finance director to sign all relevant documents. 8C, renewal of the city's property and casualty insurance lines of coverage. Approve the renewal of all insurance lines of coverage for fiscal year 25-26 at a total premium cost of $1,527,977.96, which is an increase from the last fiscal year's cost of $1,505,343.07, or a total dollar increase of $22,634.89, and authorize the city manager to put in place all the necessary instruments for this renewal, also pending the approval of the fiscal year 26 annual budget. 8D, administrative services medical renewal for the effective date of October 1st, 2025, ending September 30th, 2026. Approve the renewal of an administrative service fee group medical pharmacy benefit plan with Aetna with a 2% change in the current medical administration and access fee, pending approval of the FY26 annual budget. Item 8E, stop-loss medical reinsurance coverage for the period October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026. Approve the renewal of medical reinsurance coverage with Sun Life to cover medical reinsurance costs at an estimated annual premium with pooling of $1,232,280.52 for fiscal year 2026. This amount represents an increase of 3.52% in specific reinsurance costs over the current year spending, also pending approval of the FY26 annual budget. Item 8F, Vector Impact Sewer Cleaner Turnkey Maintenance and Repurchase Agreement. Approve the turnkey maintenance contract and repurchase agreement with Environmental Products Group Incorporated for maintenance of the Vector Impact Sewer Cleaner in the amount of $15,800 annually for a period of 5 years, with a buyback amount of $71,000 after 5 years, also pending approval of the fiscal year 2026 annual budget. 8G, Community Redevelopment CRA Budget Amendment. Approve the associated budget amendment for a total of $30,515 from Utilities Infrastructure and Stormwater Infrastructure to CR 2501, the Broad Street Project. 8H, Vendor of Record Fiscal Year 26. 1, approve the use of the attached vendors determined to be the sole source, single source, original equipment manufacturer, and/or proprietary purchases. 2, approve the use of state contracts, cooperative contracts, and other agency contracts when market research dictates utilizing one of these existing contracts is in the best interest of the city. 3, approve the issuance of purchase orders and contract renewal options. 4, Delegate authority to the city manager to award VOR purchases and contracts exceeding the ordinance limits, subject to the appropriation of funds for fiscal year '26. 5, authorize the mayor to execute all contracts to VOR exceeding $50,000 and authorize the city manager to execute all contracts up to $50,000. 6, approve purchasing and contracting to make awards, updates, or changes to the VOR list resulting from competitive procurement actions conducted by other governmental agencies for those expired contracts being used by the city. 8I, water allocation permit for 1955 North Washington Avenue. Authorize the issuance of a water supply capacity allocation permit in the amount of 11,925 gallons per day, which is 2.1% of the excess capacity for the development located at 1955 North Washington Avenue, subject to the approval of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection permit for the installation of water and sewer infrastructures. 8J, Amendment 3 for the State Revolving Fund Agreement, WW050350. Approve Amendment 3 to the State Revolving Fund Agreement, WW050250, granting additional time to complete the design project and authorize city manager to execute the agreement. K, Resolution Number 16-2025, approving the temporary closure of State Road Garden Street for special events, the Astronaut High School Homecoming Parade, October 2nd, 2025. Approve Resolution Number 16-2025, approving the temporary closure of Garden Street beginning at Publix and ending at the bus compound on Dixie Avenue on October 2nd, 2025 for the Astronaut High School Homecoming Parade. 8L, Fiscal Year 2025 Road Reconstruction Resurfacing Project Change Order Number 2. Approve the change order number 2 of the fiscal year 25 road reconstruction resurfacing project to Massey General Contractors of Port Orange Beach, Florida, in the amount of $338,079 for the replacement of concrete driveways adjacent to the roadway within the project area. Additionally, approve the associated budget amendment. And finally, M, employment agreement for the city attorney. Approve the employment agreement for the city attorney.
Well, thank you, City Manager. That was a lot to get through. I appreciate it. City Clerk?
Yes, sir. I have one card for item 8D. It's Gina with One Digital.
Miss Gina, did you want to talk? Okay. Thank you very much. Council discussion? Anybody have anything they want to ask or add? Well, I have a few questions about CD&E, just because that's more on the insurance side. And I have a question for Mr. Mark, if you'd indulge me. Is the 5% deductible, like on wind, is that per incident or per building?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Is the 5% deductible per incident or per building?
It's per building.
Okay. So, and what would that number be?
Well, it's going to be based on the actual replacement value of each building. We have about $100 million in insurable assets of this, or total insurable values for the city right now. So it just depends on the building itself.
So roughly $5 million per building.
Well, no, you take the replacement value. So for example, you have a building that's worth $10,000 for say. It'd be 5% of the $10,000 for each building. So it just depends on how many buildings are damaged based on a hurricane, and then it's the percentage for each building that's damaged. Some buildings will never reach that level, even in a Cat 5 storm. Some could be totally demolished. It just depends on how the wind affects it and what the total damage is for that building.
Exactly, and I can kind of think that replacement value in today's dollars is much more than what it costs to build a building.
What is nice about our policy with FMIT is it's a blanket policy, which basically means you take the appraised value and say the reconstruction building value becomes higher than what the replacement value is, they will cover the complete cost. That's the benefit of a blanket policy. So if a building costs $10,000 on paper, but it costs us $15,000 to rebuild, they'll give us the value, the $15,000 to rebuild. So ours would just be, the 5% wind deductible.
Gotcha, thank you very much. And then are we budgeting for that deductible, should something happen?
We generally don't budget for that. It's how it's paid for is, it depends on what happens with the storm. We have existing budget that's used. We also look to FEMA for reimbursements on a lot of those projects as well, depending on our prior losses for that building and that sort of thing. So that's basically how we pay for losses when it comes to storm-related losses.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Can you explain why the auto liability is doubling? Why our auto is basically doubling in expense?
Well, there's a couple of things that have happened in the auto market, and that is inflation related to repairs. Just the cost of automobiles have gone up tremendously over the past few years. That's spread along to all of the auto parts that come in. So if you take a normal wreck that would have cost us $3,000 2 years ago, it's almost doubled at this point for those auto repairs. We've also got a lot more fleet than we've had, so our value of fleet has gone up. So it's a combination of all of that. And some of our loss experience too. We have had a few vehicles, pretty expensive vehicles that have been damaged too. So it's a combination of those experience, inflation, and the cost of repairs.
I got you. Normally you don't see like a full-on double from one year to the next year. So that's, raises red flags in my mind to ask these.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, we have had some losses that have hurt us, but we're doing our best to try and resolve those as quickly as we can.
Member Stokel, did you have something?
Yeah, I had a question actually that you brought that one up. Do we track how many claims we have regarding auto to see if we're trending up? Are we trending down? Because obviously if we had more claims, that could explain why we're going up too.
We absolutely track those.
Okay, do you know how they are trending? Offhand, I'm sorry, I did not prepare to ask that question.
Well,
Do you want that on public?
well, the frequency is certainly there.
Okay.
But the values of those losses have gone up. Because remember, we also have it's
Okay.
a comprehensive policy, so it just depends on which one you're looking at. If it's our own losses related to vehicles striking ours, but I can get you a detail
Okay.
of what that trend is if you'd like.
Okay, and I'm just asking now to see if this is a significant increase, if there's something that we can do to give better direction, to staff to say, hey, can one of our priorities be to try to decrease that? Can we do more training? Can we do something? Because I don't know those numbers, and it would be interesting to see that, to see if that is something that we should focus on.
Sure, I can provide those numbers
Okay.
to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Stokel. And I noticed we have a $1 million stop loss aggregate.
Yes, sir.
Have we ever hit that?
No.
I didn't
No.
hear that.
I asked if we ever hit our aggregate.
Before us? No.
No.
Never have.
Okay. Just something looking at budgeting for the future and what that looks like in terms of overall strategy. But thank you very much. I appreciate you
Sure.
guys. I wanted to ask, some questions about Aetna and our stop loss insurance, and there's a bunch of things to dive in there that I think that definitely need to be looked at. But in an effort of time, I'm not going to go into those because I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. But City Manager, can you explain to council the check we received from Aetna?
The what from Aetna?
Didn't we receive a check from Aetna?
Oh, on the stop loss reinsurance.
It wasn't for pharmacy reimbursement?
Oh, also for reimbursements as well. We received several different, and I can have Joe DeNiro can give us the details on it. We received 2 large checks, one for stop loss insurance, another one for our pharmacy rebates.
Okay. So upon audit, we discovered how much Aetna owed us?
If I recall, just to understand your question, Mayor, the stop loss that you refer, the check that the city received was from our medical reinsurance, and that's from Sun Life.
Gotcha.
So once we exceed those deductible amounts, then we're reimbursed. And we've had, Brian can speak to that too, we've had over 200,000 in reimbursement so far.
I apologize. When I talked with the city manager, I was under the impression that we got a check from Aetna.
No, The check that came in today, if that's what you're referring to, is about 60,000. We had one a few days ago that we received from Sun Life was about 120,000. So we've received about 200,000 reimbursements for those high-cost claims that exceeded our deductible. I think that's what you're referring to.
No, I'm talking to manufacturers' rebates on the prescription because last
We're
time
talking about the pharmacy.
Miss Gina was here, she said that they were going through a pharmacy
Oh,
audit, and I
Pharmacy
would
rebate.
understood that, you know, we probably found some money in there.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I didn't even get to
I
South
might need to
Plus.
go back and grab my things, but there were pharmacy rebates. There should be one more if it was received within this week, that's great, but there should be one more for this fiscal year that's coming to help offset your pharmacy expenses. So I'm not sure if that was.
Yeah, that was my question, was how much we received in pharmacy rebates from Aetna since we started the audit.
Oh, how many pharmacy rebates? I want to say, as a result of the audit, we did find that Aetna did meet their financial guarantees. There was a payout that they paid to the city as a result of those guarantees. Following the audit, there hasn't been any additional changes, I guess, resulting from the audit. Sorry, I was a little caught off guard. But as a result of the new contract going to effect 10/1/2025, there are enhancements to that. So that's been because of our involvement, our oversight, and trying to negotiate with Aetna. So I apologize for being a little frazzled in the beginning there. But beginning 10/1, there will be an enhancement to your rebates moving forward.
Thank you very much. And again, didn't mean to catch you off guard. It's just, you know, a city manager told me that we got a check from Aetna, and I wanted to know how much and for how long, and can we go back and audit the previous year, you know, and see what was going on there, because, you know, I trust but verify when it comes to, you know, our employees' health and our fiduciary responsibility to our taxpayers. Member Stokel?
Yes, to add to that one, just so I can understand the process, is this meaning, so like, say, for instance, we go buy something in the store and it says, hey, if you fill this out and send it back in, you can get a rebate. Are we doing this at the city level?
No. That's
Okay, so
taking
how do
place-
we get these rebates then?
So those are contracted with Aetna.
They come automatically, we don't
Yes.
have to do anything?
Correct.
So were we getting them before, or did we find out as a result of the audit that we weren't getting them and now we're getting them?
No, you've been receiving them, but as a
Okay.
result of there was some Florida legislature that went into effect last year. So we're starting to see there's a lag time with when rebates are received because the claims are paid and then you
Okay.
receive the rebates on the back end. So we're starting to reap the benefits of those enhanced rebates from the Florida legislature. And then we've also negotiated enhancements beginning 10/1 to further, your rebates are going to increase further.
Okay, because of a change in legislation, not that, so there aren't any rebates that we have missed out on, are there?
No.
Okay, so we've gotten everything that we were supposed to, now we're getting more because of the change in legislation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
And just to surmise, basically, companies were probably not paying them like they should until the change in legislation, and then realized they kind of gave us some teeth to kind of go after them and make sure that they paid what they owed us. Because if they have a minimum that they have to pay, typically they're going to pay the minimum,
Yes.
right? And we want to make sure that we're bringing all that money back in the house.
Exactly.
And the question that I have next is more of just a combination of D and E, because, you know, I was kind of doing some math and I was adding things up, and when you add up, you know, our, you know, administering of the plan, our stop loss, and what our risk is in terms of the stop loss. Our stop loss risk is what, 10,656,708.75 to be specific. Divided by 607 employees, we get an average person of cost per year for healthcare of like $17,546 approximately. Okay. The question I had is, I thought we were budgeting about 10 grand a person for benefits. And where did I get that number from? About how much the health insurance costs per employee?
Oh, wow.
10 million is a little high. I think we budgeted closer to, we're projecting 9 million for next year.
Well, that was what the upper limit is for all the employees to hit their.
Including the stop loss
Yeah.
deductibles.
Right, yeah, and the ASO, administrative services, reinsurance, and the claims cost. You know, we were budgeted 6 million last year because of our high claims. You know, we've had to project about a $9 million loss, so that fund has gone up. But yeah, I think we've got some, you know, good things in place that'll help us with our premium increase, and some things in place that'll help manage those costs.
Sorry, sir, I can't hear you very well. If you don't mind speaking.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, we thinking where, you know, our premium increases over the last few years have been, you know, single digits, below single digits. And these last 2 years have been very, you know, struggling for us in terms of our catastrophic events. You know, we had over 40 claimants with more than 25,000 in claims. I think the last report, 5 of our claimants have exceeded that. And that's what I was referring to, those 2 checks, Mayor, that we received. We anticipate about 400,000 back from them. So we've had a very, you know, struggling year where we had to increase our contributions for all of our members. And now we're, I think, set for anticipating all of those expenses in the fund of about 9 million, where we were budgeting 6 million. So that might be the trend that we can anticipate in losses over the year. But you know, we've got stop loss to help it insure against the catastrophic events. We've got our clinic that we partner with Parish for with our primary care. I think we've got, you know, some pharmacy enhancements in place that'll help us with some of those medical issues that we're dealing with. So we're going to be monitoring it, and we'll be happy to report back to you and keep you all informed on where we're progressing.
And I believe this year we had to move 1.2 million from the general fund to help cover the losses for this bad year. Yeah. So what are we doing to budget and to plan to make sure that that doesn't happen again?
Yeah. On the
health plan, what are we doing to prevent us having to, you know, bail out the health plan again? You know, this year we had to move $1.2 million from the general fund to the health plan to help cover the losses. And it seems like our risk is like, you know, over $10 million, and we're budgeting for $9 million.
Right.
Well, I think we've adjusted the premiums to hopefully compensate for that perceived shortfall.
Yeah. Mayor, and collaborate on that. We have 2 options. Several years ago, our employees helped us develop a value plan for the benefit of the dependent costs. But for the enhancement plan, we found that, you know, a lot of those cost drivers, because of the lower benefits, were in that enhancement plan. And now we're finding through open enrollment, some of our employees are making some changes to the higher deductible, if you will, which shares in those costs. So there are some changes that are being made. We'll monitor them, and, you know, we anticipate, I think, a better year. Also, I know on our reinsurance, those high claimants are being managed now. We understand from a health standpoint. So where we exceeded those costs for those high claimants, they're beginning to be resolved and not get any worse, I think, is how we're managing those as well.
Thank you, Mr. Gennaro. So how much do we budget per person for healthcare?
So, well, I don't have those costs, but we can tell you on the enhancement plan.
But I thought it was like $10,000 a year. That's what I thought I was reading somewhere in the budget.
Well, we were at $400 per value plan, $700 per employee on the enhanced plan.
don't have all those, because I'm sure that $10,000 would include claims, premium,
Yes.
everything, stop
Right.
loss.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, what is that number per person?
Yeah.
Pulling up the rates.
If you have that. Because what the city contributes, what the employee contributes, dollar for dollar goes to pay for those claims.
Yeah, so are you looking for the city's monthly cost or
Yeah.
annual cost?
Monthly
Monthly. The monthly contribution,
or yearly, it doesn't matter.
the city contributes depending on tier. So for employee-only tier, under the enhanced plan, it's about $909 per employee per month. For the value plan, it's just under $900 at $898 per member per month.
Okay, so, you know, we're roughly 10 grand a year just in insurance premium, right? What are we budgeting for the claims per person?
Claims per person is
So these claims are still paid by the city until we hit the reinsurance.
claims and administration, we're budgeting for $9 million next year. That's what we budgeted.
On top of the premium, right?
No,
Oh,
that is
premium's
inclusive of the premium.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much. I just had some clarifying questions, wanted to, you know, iron that out, because even though I do understand insurance, it was very in-depth, and I'm sure it was very confusing. So I just wanted to make sure I fully understood it before I voted, so thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Any further discussion from council? All right, need a motion.
Move to approve consent agenda items B through M.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? City Clerk?
Member Moscoso?
Yes.
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Connors?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
All right, City Manager, item A.
I'll now read item 8A for discussion. State Housing Initiative Partnership SHIP Affordable Housing Agreement between Community of Hope Incorporated in the amount of $125,000. And the recommended action is to approve the SHIP grant funding in the amount of $125,000 for the construction of affordable housing units by Community of Hope Incorporated. And we have Terry Franklin from Neighborhood Services here to answer your questions.
Hi, Miss Terry. City Clerk, are there any cards on this?
We have one card. It's Tony Schifolo.
Miss Tony?
Tony Schifolo, the non-collector, Tropic Street. So that you don't think of me as a NIMBY, not in my backyard. I wanted to stand to say I approve of SHIP funding in the amount of $125,000 for the construction of affordable housing units by Community of Hope Incorporated. 2 of the properties located at 705 Roderick A. Harris Sr. Avenue and 504 Roderick Harris are right down the street from the historic Norwood House. I've seen the affordable housing built by Community of Hope Incorporated in the neighborhood, actually, and it blends well with the surrounding housing. It fits in scale and style. It's rather nice. So I approve of this in my backyard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schifolo. Member Moscoso?
I didn't know if anyone from Community of Hope was here tonight.
I don't see them here.
No, okay. Ms. Terry, thank you so much. We went back and forth quite a bit with just some questions. So if I stumble through this, this is a lot of a learning curve here. But I'm definitely in favor of this project. I agree with Tony. I've seen their projects and they've done a really good job. So my questions to Terry, and I went back and forth and asked, okay, this is SHIP money, $125,000. What have we spent this money on before? So I asked for the records for the past 5 years. And it was really interesting. And so one of the questions I wanted to ask Community of Hope, and Ms. Terry, you might be able to answer this. Do they offer any type of counseling for people once they've received the home? because I was looking at the numbers and this is what was shocking to me is we have such a high foreclosure rate. For the city of Titusville, we have 39% foreclosure rate on these properties, the SHIP properties, compared to Brevard County is 6%. I think Leon County that's where I'm from, is 2%, and we're at 39%. And so my question is, Community of Hope seems to have a really good track record, but what is, for us in Titusville, what is the issue? Why are there so many foreclosures? It was 9 out of 23 were foreclosed on, and this is money that SHIP went to. And then when that happens, where does that money go? What happens after that?
First, with Community of Hope, yes, they do offer wraparound services for all of their tenants in their rental properties. And as well, they will, because these properties will be put into a community land trust for 99 years, they will, those buyers will have that same support. The foreclosures you mentioned with the SHIP program, those are actually foreclosures from the first mortgage holders. Titusville has a second when we provide down payment assistance for those buying homes. So those were instances where the first mortgage was foreclosed on for whatever reason. And most of those came about back when the market was really high. I forget what year that was, 2008 or something like that. There was a lot of people that bought homes back then, and they weren't able to maintain those. So the first mortgage was foreclosed on. And we have to report those numbers to SHIP because we supported those purchases with down payment assistance.
So then what happens to the money that we've invested in those properties?
9 times out of the 10, we don't get our repayment because there's not enough money on the resale to pay the first mortgage, the balance. So we usually don't get anything back on those.
Sorry if these are elementary questions, but are we researching before we are providing these funds so that we're not giving money into something that might go into foreclosure?
Yes. We require every first-time home buyer to go through home buyer counseling. We have a Community Housing Initiative is our subrecipient for that. And they do the home buyer counseling. They look at their finances. They determine their debt ratios. And if the first mortgage lender approves them for lending, we take a second look and make sure that their debt to ratio meets our requirements, and that's usually like a 30% debt to ratio.
So just looking at the numbers, did other communities not experience, in 2020, if their numbers are so much lower, why are so much higher if we kind of all went through the same pandemic at the same time?
I'm not familiar with the other communities' numbers, so I really couldn't know how to compare what happened here versus there.
Sure. Yeah, I am definitely no expert on this, but I would love to sit down with you because I have a lot of questions and it could take a while. So thank you so much for going back and forth with me and providing me with that information.
Absolutely.
Member Stokel?
Yes, to clarify with that, and I know we probably don't have the number now, but if the true rate is not 39%, that's what I'm hearing, because this is from the people that owned it prior. I would like to know the rate of we invest and give SHIP dollars to these, how many of those after they receive the SHIP funding and the new homeowner comes in, how many of those get foreclosed on? I would be interested in seeing that rate since it's not the 39%.
Could you say that again?
So you're saying the 39% is not accurate?
No, that's not what I said. I said that 30% probably is the first mortgages, not our mortgage.
Right, and I want to know after it is our mortgage and we give it. So now we're approving this tonight, and then if it gets foreclosed on again, that's the percentage I want to know, not prior. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. So these have already been foreclosed on. We have nothing to do with that. That's when this rate of this 39%, you said that's the first owner got foreclosed on.
No. The first mortgage. So these properties that are assisted by our SHIP program, we provide the down payment, our closing cost assistance to a purchaser that's getting a mortgage out in the regular financing field.
Okay.
So our portion is just providing the closing costs so that we reduce what they're having to borrow from a lender.
Okay. I guess the simple answer then would be to kind of mirror Moscoso's. I would like to know why there's others that are 6% and 2% and ours is 39%, because there does seem to be something that we may need to fix. So
I mean,
would
ours
not
is
be-
9 out of 23 homes have been foreclosed on in the past 5 years. And so
After we've
no.
given CHIP money to them.
Let me clarify,
See, that's
that's
what I'm
not
trying
the
to get-
last 5 years. That's
No.
a cumulative total for the entire SHIP program from 1978 on.
I just pulled the data from you gave me the last 5 years, and that's where I'm getting that
Correct.
number
But
from.
those are cumulative numbers. That's not just for those individual years.
Well, I think the question is, if it is true, why are our foreclosures higher than perhaps other communities? And maybe I'm reading the numbers wrong. Maybe they're not. But if it is, I would like an accurate number of what percentage are being foreclosed and how are we supporting these families. If we're giving them, $25,000, whatever, for the down payment, how are we supporting them so they can be successful?
Sure. I can compare those to see what data may be out there outside of our tracking, because each city tracks their own foreclosures. There's not a database. So it could be the other cities are not tracking their numbers.
I feel like they would need to track those, especially if they're receiving SHIP funds. Okay, and I think ultimately why I'm asking is because I'd like to get that down to 0 if possible, if there's anything we as a city can do. Obviously, there might be external factors, but if there's common trends that we're noticing or whoever we're awarding it to, that would be helpful before we make a decision on who we approve it for and who we don't, potentially.
Sure.
Thank you, Member Stokel. Member Moscoso.
Sorry. And then there was another question. I did see the numbers are kind of all over the place with the amount that we've given in the past 5 years. So we went in 2020 to 2021. We didn't give out any SHIP money. Is that correct?
That's correct. That year, the governor took the SHIP
Oh, did he?
program
Okay.
for general fund.
Very kind. All right. So I was just curious about those and how that works. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
I just wanted to make one more clarification on those foreclosure rates. Those numbers also include properties that were not first-time homebuyer properties. Those could be properties we assisted with repairs. So if they had a mortgage and it foreclosed, we have to report those numbers as well. So it's not just first-time homebuyer foreclosures.
And I agree with that, but I do think if we are going to be investing this money, there needs to be, we need to do our due diligence and making sure that it's going, to families that are set up on the right track to
Yes.
succeed, instead of, we can fix this house, and then they actually can't afford to live there because of whatever reason. So I think that's the information that I want. What is our due diligence? How are we vetting these homes and making sure that we're providing the additional support, not just throwing money at an issue, but how are we maybe working with partners in the community to make sure that we can keep these folks in their homes?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. We do have in our policy that we review each applicant to make sure if they do have a mortgage, that they are current on their mortgage payments. We ask for 3 statements, and we check that right before we make the repairs, during repairs, and after repairs to make sure that they're staying current. We look at the data from that before we approve their application. And if they're in good standing at that time, then assistance is provided.
Member Moscoso, did you have any suggestions on other solutions that they could implement to make sure we're protecting those funds?
I don't. I actually want to learn more about this. So I'm hoping to meet with North Brevard Charities and then Miss Terry and a few other nonprofits to see what we can do. But I mean, I'm sorry, I kind of went off track. This is about Community of Hope. And so very thankful that they're receiving the funds. It just kind of went down this rabbit hole. And so, yeah, I definitely need to learn about this subject a bit more. So thank you.
Thank you very much. If I don't see any further discussion, can somebody make a motion?
Move to approve consent agenda item A.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. City Manager?
Moving on to item 9A, that's a conditional use CUP application number 5-2025, St. Francis Reflections Pace Center. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow an adult daycare facility at 1250 Grumman Place in the Community Commercial Zoning District. And the staff recommendation is to approve the CUP for an adult daycare at 1250 Grumman Place, consistent with the approved concept plan in the Community Commercial Zoning District. And our Community Development Director is here to answer any questions. Also, it's a quasi-judicial, need to
City
read
Attorney?
the rules.
Yes, Jerry, this is a quasi-judicial item. During the public hearing portion of this item, anyone wishing to speak on this item must first sign a public hearing agenda card and sign the oath contained thereon, swearing to tell the truth, the full truth, and nothing but the truth. These cards are located on the table at the entrance of chambers and should be provided to the clerk. Those speaking in favor of a request will be heard first. If you have photographs, sketches, or documents that you desire for the City Council to consider, they must be submitted into evidence and will be retained by the city. Please submit such exhibits to the city clerk. City Clerk, have you received signed oath cards from persons wishing to speak before the City Council on this item? Yes, sir. Okay. To the staff and applicant, if there's any other witnesses that you intend to have speak, have a signed oath card presented to the clerk. And if there is anyone else here present that hasn't filled out a card, please do so at this time. City Clerk, have all agenda items been properly advertised? Regarding ex parte communications, in the event that a council member has received an ex parte communication, verbal or written, outside of this hearing, the council member shall disclose the identity of the person, group, or entity with whom the communication took place and the subject of the communication, including all opinions or facts disclosed. Any written communication must be disclosed and made part of the record. Also, in the event that a member has conducted an investigation or site visit or received any expert opinion regarding the quasi-judicial item, said visit or opinion shall be disclosed. If a written ex parte communication exists, verify that the applicant has received them and has had the opportunity to review and is ready to proceed. Regarding the order of this presentation, first council will receive staff's presentation, followed by a presentation of the applicant. Following the applicant's presentation, the floor will open to the public comment. The applicant may make a rebuttal. Witnesses may be cross-examined by the applicant, a party, council, or staff representative as authorized by the council. The council's decision in this matter must be based upon competent substantial evidence and pursuant to Florida statute. If the council denies an application for this item, the council shall cite to the applicable portions of an ordinance, rule, statute, or other legal authority for the denial of this permit. This has got to get shorter, and I'm already talked to Ms. Treasurer about that. So, because this is way more than needs to be done, but
Thank you very
that'll
much.
be her issue.
City Attorney. All right, Brad, did you want to kick us off?
Page 344 is the first page of the staff report. We reviewed this application consistent with the comprehensive plan and the zoning code. We found it to be consistent with both, and we recommend approval without conditions. The concept plan, the page that's most relevant to you as far as illustrating the improvements that are being proposed, are on page 359 of your packet. And you will see that the applicant is proposing to use an existing building, an existing site. A portion of that building will include this adult daycare facility, which is required to go through this public hearing process, primarily because the property is located on a local road. And the code specifically says they'll have to go through a public hearing for this. We didn't find any issues, not proposing any conditions. The applicant will have to get a site development permit for the improvements that they're proposing, including the porca share and some of the other site improvements that are illustrated on that concept plan. With that, I'll try to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parrish. City Clerk?
The applicant is here, Aaron Troger. Okay.
I'm Joe Killian. I'm the CEO for St. Francis Hospice here in Titusville. Our organization started 50 years ago with Emily Sasko. We've been caring for patients in the Titusville area for quite some time now. We have a 12-bed inpatient unit on that same campus that we're talking about building the PACE program. An inpatient center is equivalent to an intensive care unit, oxygen and suction and so forth in the walls for patients that need help with their last days of life. So that's kind of where we're at with that. We have a building that's about 40-some thousand square feet. We're dividing that building up. We're going to provide what's called a PACE program in part of that building. The PACE program, it's a program of all-inclusive care of the elderly. It's designed to take care of the underserved people of this community, typically Medicaid-appropriate patients that are nursing home appropriate. In other words, they have a skilled need, would typically go to a nursing home. With the help of this PACE program, they're able to stay in their homes longer, keep them out of nursing homes. I think if I ask any of you on this council whether or not you'd like to spend your last days in a nursing home, I'm sure I'd get a no from about just everybody. Nursing homes are needed. I'm not saying they're not appropriate, but most people don't want to spend their last days in one. A PACE program provides meals, care, social services, medical care. There'll be a clinic there with physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners that'll take care of patients. We pick patients up in their homes in the community. We bring them to the center. While they're there, we take care of their medical needs if they have any. We take care of their psychosocial needs if they have those as well. Whatever their medical needs are, we provide. If it's dental, vision, if it's internal medicine, we have to provide all that care for them. So that's the type of program that we're proposing to put together with this PACE project.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Sure.
City Clerk, is there any other cards?
Murray? Okay.
All right. Is that the last card? Yes, sir. City Council, any discussion? Oh, Member Nelson?
I think it's a great idea. I think it's needed. So I would be happy to make that motion.
All right, closing the public hearing, I have a motion from Member Nelson.
Second.
A second from Vice Mayor Cole. Any further discussion?
Oh, did we have any cards?
I already called him.
No.
City Clerk?
Just to ensure, are you including it being consistent with the improved concept plan as written?
Yes.
Okay.
All the legalese that follow that
And
motion.
based on the staff report, we're making the motion to approve the CUP.
Roll call is Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Connors?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Moscoso?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate you being here. City Manager?
Yes, moving on, we have no ordinances, first reading, or old business, so move on to item 12, new business. And 12A is an advisability, and staff is seeking an advisability to create a temporary ad hoc committee in accordance with Section 31-5 of the city ordinances for the purpose of addressing community needs and service gaps provided at the Harry T. Moore Social Service Center. And we have Terry Franklin here to answer your questions regarding this request.
Thank you very much, City Manager. Are you ready, Ms. Terry?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was waiting for questions. We're seeking advisability to create a temporary ad hoc committee with the intent to have a committee of at least 6 members is our thought. And it would convene to discuss any gaps in services within the community. We have several areas of the city which are defined as low income. And as you know, the center serves as a service hub for the community with tenants that we have there, service providers, as well as the city. So we thought it would be great to have a committee to help us discuss on what service gaps are needed. And this would be a great start to do that.
Thank you very much. City Clerk, are there any cards on this item?
We have one card. It's Tony Chevalo.
Shifalo, Tropic Street, a concerned citizen. I think we approve the creation of a Titusville Social Services Ad Hoc Committee for the purposes of addressing community needs and service gaps provided at the service center. It says that appointments to the ad hoc committee will be made by City Council through an application process. So I'm here to ask and to just state that I am certain and sure that members of the concerned citizens and other community residents will be welcome applicants. So please consider this, because as the enclosed 1971 deed in your packet says, quote, property shall be used for recreation and park purposes, or for a social service recreation community center only. So there it is again, community recreation, not just offices. And it also says if you don't use it, you lose it, because it says the title shall automatically, if it's not used for these purposes only, the title shall automatically revert to Brevard County. It's a lovely building. It's in a neighborhood that has many social needs. And we don't want to let it go back to Brevard County. Let's keep it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shiflo. City Clerk, are there any other cards? No, sir. Thank you very much. To kind of kick off the discussion, it was really interesting to go to the Family Promise stakeholder meeting in Cocoa to hear about how they do it. Basically, they had an old fire station that they leased out for $1 a year for 20 years, and Family Promise of Brevard paid in cash for 20 years of rent. And that nonprofit came in, revitalized that building, and brought in other social service providers into that building, whether it be Career Source of Brevard, Brevard Health Alliance, Help Me Grow, Elevate Brevard, all the needs that they thought needed to be met could be met there. And I think we have a challenge here in Titusville with somebody needs social services, and unfortunately, we as a city don't necessarily provide social services. That's not what we do inherently. We're more police, fire, water, roads. And to hand somebody a flyer and say, you got to go to Cocoa or Vieira or somewhere else, that makes it unattainable for that person that needs that social services sometime. So I think it'd be behoove of us to try to get some of these countywide nonprofits that do social services to invite them to be a part of what we're trying to build up here in terms of social services. And I've had conversations with a lot of those nonprofits, because anytime we get a nonprofit to invest in Titusville or North Brevard, that's a win for our community. And so those are groups that raise money in Melbourne and spend it up here. So that's always a good thing. But, I think an ad hoc committee would be very beneficial, because what they found at Family Promise and doing that is they saw what the data said about what they needed for services. And it turns out the community had a slightly different idea. Now, there was some overlap, but there was some things that they realized that weren't necessarily needed, and some other things that needed to be brought in there. So with that being said, I'm very in favor of doing this and helping bring some of these nonprofits that operate more south up here to help us out. So, Member Nelson.
First, thank you, Terry. I think this was a good idea. And second, I'm totally in favor of it, and I would make that motion to approve the creation of the ad hoc committee.
Second.
All right, well, I have a motion and I have a second. Member Moscoso, further discussion?
Yes, thank you. Terry, how much space do we have available in that building?
Do you mean for rental space?
Yes, like
Oh,
for
okay.
rental, if we wanted
There's-
nonprofits to come in. I know we have a few nonprofits that are working out of there.
There's 5 rental offices,
And,
and 2 of them are currently occupied.
okay, so there's 3 available now. And what's the fee for the rental?
It's $1,200 a year.
Okay. So I think when we did in February, when we went to different parks and different areas, it was really eye-opening to see how the different community centers were used, right? And some of them you had the kids come in and, you know, and when I was at the Harry T. Moore Center, there was nobody in there. And that was honestly a bit shocking because it's right there in the middle of the community. We need to have people there. So I'm definitely for this. But my question is, are there set rules that we have to have people apply, or could we each, if it would be approved by the council, we each appoint someone to this committee? Or is it did the rules state that people need to apply for this?
Well, if you look at page 377 of your packet, that's Article 8, Ad hoc Committee. It says, any other committee appointed by the City Council for the purpose of review, analyzing or recommending shall be temporary ad hoc in nature. It doesn't really address whether or not it has to be only by application. I would assume that it would be for council to decide the application process, whether or not you appoint, each council member appoints one member to the board or do it by consensus. I think that's something for the council to decide because it is a ad hoc type committee, which is, you know, for a very short duration. I think it's for council to decide how you want to comprise the members of this committee.
It's not a hill I'm going to die on, but I do like the idea of us being able to appoint someone because thinking of individuals who are in, I mean, there could be other restrictions that are in serving in the community. Perhaps there's somebody who really does serve in our community at one of the charities but doesn't live in our community. Would they be able to apply? And so, I mean, there could be things we have to iron out, but I would love that option, but I'm not going to die on that hill. So it's.
Thank you, Member Moscoso. So I do have a motion and a second for the appointment of an ad hoc committee. And since that motion is on the table, and Member Stokel, I'll call on you here in a second. But I think this is the opportunity to talk about how we do it, whether it be an application process very similar to our other boards and commissions, or just a straight up appointment via each council member, or even 2 per council member. I mean, it really could vary. This is a temporary committee, so it's not inscribed into ordinance as to how we do it. So therefore, we as a council can set the rules. Member Stokel.
Along those same lines, I guess I was hoping for, this is advisability, for Terry to come back with potential recommendations, being in that area, working really well with the community, seeing what you've noticed, maybe potential ideas of who you feel like should be on there, and then get that advisability. And then I think then that would make me feel better about, should we do an application process? How many might be a good amount of people? Would it be 10? What does that look like? And then with that advisability, with Terry doing what she does, I feel like I could make a better decision. I don't think I'm ready to make that decision right just yet.
Thank you, Member Stokel. Can I clarify your motion, Member Nelson? Was it to agree to the advisability, or was it to form the ad hoc committee?
To approve the creation of the ad hoc committee.
Okay, so that was the motion on the floor, which is not advisability.
It says advisability right here.
But that's not the motion she made.
Okay. We could say advisability.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that we all knew what we're doing. Either we're creating a committee or we're asking staff to look into the committee and bringing more details. So with that being said, I think we, don't need to debate too much. We wait for that advisability. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Ms. Terry. City Manager?
Next item is approve the Verona A&E sketch plat as consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, LDR, and requirements of section 34-151 of the sketch plat. And Brad Parrish is here to answer any questions regarding the approval process.
Mr. Parrish.
I'm just here to answer any questions. The entire sketch plat is there, and this is approved. They'll have to go forward with the final, or preliminary plat and final plat with us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parrish. City Clerk.
We have one card. It's Rick Kern.
Hi, I'm Rick Kern, the project engineer. We concur with staff findings on the project, and we look forward to making this the final phase on the project as well. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you.
Thank you very much. I don't see any. Appreciate it. Any council discussion? All right, I'll entertain a motion. Member Nelson?
Move to approve the Verona A&E sketch plat as consistent with the comp plan.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Moving on to 12C is the Marketing, Public Relations, and Communications Strategic Plan. As you recall earlier in this council meeting, we had a Marketing Alliance presentation where they laid out the plan. We're now asking for council to go ahead and approve the strategy that was presented.
Thank you very much. City Clerk, are there any cards? Yes, sir. City Council, do you guys have anything? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the marketing, public relations, and communication strategy as presented by Marketing Alliance.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And now we're at the part of the meeting where we have petitions and requests from the public, non-agenda items. Has not come up before or have not spoke earlier. Anybody would like to say anything? Not seeing anybody leave their seats, so we'll move on to mayor and council reports. Wow, that was like a lot, like really quickly. Good job, everybody. All righty. Member Scosa, would you like to lead us off?
I would prefer to wait if that's possible.
Vice Mayor Cole?
I'd like to just make the public aware of some things that are going on in the community as far as scam calls. 2 days ago, I was sitting at home and I received a call from my doctor. And I did not recognize the voice on the other end. And they said that I had had a blood test recently, which I had had. And as the message proceeded, I recognized that this was not from my doctor's office. The number that was called was my doctor's office. So when I decided that, hey, I'm not talking to you anymore because you're saying you're going to send me a packet in the mail and I have to do a DNA test and it will be totally covered by Medicare. Well, that's when I immediately recognized that it was a scam. So I hung up on this and I immediately redialed. And when I redialed, as I suspected, it was straight to my doctor's office. My doctor had not called me. So basically, I'm saying there's a scam out there. And I immediately notified the Titusville Police Department. I was at my hospital board meeting yesterday, and I was told that there are a number of these calls that are being made to people in the community where they have been able to clone the number of your doctor. Now, there were two things that they had. They knew who my doctor was, because that's who the call was from. And they knew I had had a blood test within the last month or so. So all I'm saying is just be careful when you get these calls, because there's no telling who's on the other end, and there's no telling what the scam is that they're trying to put on you. So that's just an attention that I'm putting forth to the community. The second thing I wanted to talk about was our Public Works Department. And I think some of you that drove down Highway 1 yesterday recognized that we had a major water leak, water break on the corner of Garden and Highway 1. Our guys worked till midnight out there trying to repair that line. Today, we had a major water line break by the fiber optics installer, Wire 3, in my neighborhood. And they worked out there feverishly all day. It was an 8-inch water main. I just want to give kudos to our Public Works Department for the hard work that those guys do. And when I say hard work, these guys had to dig a ditch in both locations, Garden Street and in my neighborhood. The ditch was deep, was at least 6 feet deep, because the guys that were digging it, you couldn't see them if they were in the hole. So I just want to publicly recognize our Public Works Department for the work that they do.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Cole. Anybody else like to go? Member Moscoso? Or sorry, members, who? Everybody's flipping their lights on and off. Member Moscoso?
All right. So I have two things. So the first is I am asking for permission to go to a conference in Daytona. I think it's just it's a full conference, but it's only a day conference that I'd like to attend. It's a planning conference. The charge is $45. So if I could get approval to do that, I would appreciate it. I think some members of the Planning and Zoning Commission are going, but it's a conference, and this class in particular is for elected officials.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Anybody from the public want to weigh in on the planning conference vote? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
All right, this one is not as fun. So I'm going to read a statement. And I want to address two important governance issues tonight. The recent use of city branding and social media to promote sponsorship of non-city events, and how we operate as a council under our current form of government. I hope that we can have a discussion after this constructively and move forward as a team and focus on serving our community. So my primary concern is this. If we allow city branding and social platforms to promote sponsorship of certain events, what prevents any council member, myself included, from using that same branding to support our preferred nonprofits? What stops me from seeking sponsorships using the city branding and my title as a council member? This creates a potential for misuse of our public positions and opens us up to confusion and possible legal liability. I think we are elected officials, but we're also citizens bound by the same rules and ordinances as everyone else, and I don't believe we're consistently following them. We hold our residents to a high standard in these chambers with no exceptions. I think we have to hold ourselves to the same standards. Let me give you two examples that have offered some concern. I touched on this a little bit before, but the recent mayor's minute claimed the city was working closely with SpaceX, NASA, FAA, and state agencies on launch safety and beach access. When I asked about our position on this issue 2 weeks ago, there was minimal discussion. Then suddenly an official video mentioned this close collaboration, which I knew nothing about. Now, I might have missed an email, but as one of 5 council members, I believe we all deserve to be informed and included on these decisions. And I often see things put out on our official social media that I have no idea what is happening. Second, the mayor's ball. Requesting business sponsorships while using the title mayor, city branding, and city hall address, the address for city hall, it raises serious questions. Are we potentially violating state statutes? Why was this not discussed by the full council? I think this could have been something that we all supported and found a way to back collectively. But instead, this is being handled independently without council input or oversight. So our form of governance matters. I think the mayoral role is important, but it's also largely ceremonial. and under our council manager structure. We are not a strong mayor city, and I'm concerned that some recent actions exceed what our government structure allows. Moving forward, I'm asking that we operate as a team, that we make decisions collectively, and that we consistently follow our policies. This is not about stopping positive work. It's about including the entire governing board and city business. I do believe it's my responsibility as a council member to address these concerns and have these uncomfortable conversations, not only on behalf of the residents, but also the staff, so that we can move forward properly and legally. And I'd love to hear any thoughts on this.
Member Nelson?
I did look up Florida statute, and I'm sure you've got it. But it does make it a criminal offense for public officials to use their official position to secure a special benefit for themselves or others. So I am concerned that we are putting things out. Mayor, you're putting things out. I understand there's a mayor's minute for the Brewfest, the Rotary Brewfest, and then the mayor's ball. I understand that the staff was used for that, and that city property was used for that. And I think all the way around, we've had this discussion before, we aren't allowed to direct staff to do anything. The property belongs to the city. It's not ours to use for a special purpose. We can't do that. The last time we discussed it was when we said, hey, you know, if you're using staff for more than 2 hours, you have to have council's permission. And 2 days later, you're out at the Space Center with staff. And that raises serious questions. So to me, the question for myself is, do we do nothing? How do we get you to pay attention to the rules and follow those? Do we, Palm Coast engaged a law firm to look at it and make a misconduct and make recommendations as a criminal offense. Potentially at some point, this becomes a really serious problem. And I don't want any of us in that kind of position.
Member Stokel?
Yep. Okay, to me, I've heard 3 issues, and I'll address them all 3. One, the mayor's minute, I think this was brought up before. What I don't want to have happen is, I do feel like, I don't know the intent or anything, but I will say I have appreciated our very active council. Even me going to Space Coast League of Cities and around, I am getting compliments on, oh, I saw your mayor, oh, your mayor called me. And I appreciate you building those relationships. With the mayor's minute, I haven't had any issues for the most part, except for the one, Member Moscoso, you brought up, and then there was one prior that I brought up at a council meeting. So I don't know the best way to approach that, because I don't want to stifle. I like that we're doing those. I feel like it's good that we're communicating. And for the most part, I haven't had any issues with them. I think it gets brought up then when there is something that we are caught off guard and we weren't maybe necessarily in agreement with, and we didn't really want that message coming out. I had that issue with one of the videos. But at the same time, I don't want to stifle what I feel like we're on an upward trajectory of more engagement, more transparency. We're putting out more information. So maybe there's just, you know, hey, these are the videos I'm trying to do, and we know in advance and we're okay with them. I don't know what that looks like exactly, because I don't want to micromanage too much where it becomes, you know, not even worth the effort that you're putting into it. So I'm kind of on the fence with that. Mayor's Ball, I'm 100% in support of. If we need to vote on, you know, us being a part of it, what does that look like? Palm Bay does a ball, Cocoa Beach does a ball. I think it's great that we're finally getting representation on the north end. So I don't know if that was just an oversight or you just saw that they were doing it and you wanted to do it too. But if we need to do something to be on, I would be in favor of that. And then lastly, the staff time. I don't know if there is anything happening right now, but I think, yeah, just to reiterate, our form of government, all staff reports to our city manager. And I don't want any of our staff being put in uncomfortable situation where you're directing them based on council's direction, and then any one of us up here is saying, hey, I need you to do this, or I need you to come with me to this. I want to be clear. I want to make sure that is not happening. And I will have to defer to U.S. City Manager to make sure to keep us informed if that potentially is happening, if we need to do something about that. So that goes for any of us on council, because I have high regard for our form of government. It empowers you to do your job effectively, and I want to make sure you're being able to do that. So hopefully that summarizes my thoughts on it, on what we potentially need to do moving forward.
Member Stokel, Vice Mayor Cole.
I think we brought up a couple of issues that the council is concerned about. I think moving forward, I think the mayor's ball is, I never thought of it in the respect of the way it is, you say it's against the misuse of public position and those, but the mayor's ball is something that I totally support and I think is really good. But I think that what we need to do, if we need to form a 501c3 foundation at our council so that we could actually support it in a real way where all 5 of us are on board to support it, I think we should do that. Now, I don't know the intricacies of forming a 501c3, but I think if we need to do that to make this event something that it seems that it's going to turn out to be something really good, that is supporting a major contributor to tourism in our city, I think it's a good thing. So my position is that, yes, there may have been some infractions. I think we can move forward from this, but I think we do need to form, and I have to either look at a lawyer or look at our lawyer to determine what we need to do to make that happen.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Cole. Member Nelson.
I believe that's how Palm Bay does it, is they have a 501c3. And I'm assuming that as part of that, they don't go out and say, this is the office of the mayor, this is this 501c3 that is looking for sponsorships. I know there's a way to do it, but we're not doing it the right way. So, Jim, can you tell us how we should do it?
Yeah, and it is possible, and a lot of cities are set up that way. In fact, I set up Palm Bay's back in the day. When I first started there, they weren't doing it that way. The city was just doing it. They set it up as a 501c3 to help in the fundraising, which is the purpose of like having a mayor's ball or something, is to raise funds for charitable causes and stuff, and having that vehicle helps. It's really not too difficult to set up. It would be a fully owned corporation of the city, so the board of directors would be the 5 council members. The chair of the board would be the mayor. The CEO of the corporation would be the manager. The general counsel of the corporation would be the city attorney, and so on. And you file with the state, and then there's some IRS filings that also need to be done. There'd also be a little burden on finance, because there would be an annual report that finance would have to send to the IRS just to report on revenue. I mean, clearly if it's a 501c3, you're not paying taxes, but they do want to report. And so it's not heavy lifting. It's really not.
So if I can ask you, Palm Bay, does the board actually decide each year what charity is going to be supported?
Yes. I believe it comes as a recommendation from the mayor, since it's the mayor's ball, but the board of directors votes on what they're going to have their cause be each year.
Okay. So as long as we weren't using city property, city staff, we would be in the clear.
I mean, you could, and that's the whole purpose of making it a fully owned corporation of the city. So you would have that ability. And there are other examples of 501s that are set up by cities, not just for mayor's balls, but there are different things. The city I just came from at Port St. Lucie had a governmental finance corporation, and they had all their real property owned by this governmental finance corporation. And it was the same thing. It was the 5 council members were the board of directors and so on, but city staff ran that corporation completely. And it was acceptable, and there was an ethics opinion it received at the time because the corporation was an alter ego of the city,
Okay.
in a nutshell. So it was deemed an appropriate use of public resources.
Okay, that makes sense. And I would support that. And I will say this, I heard a rumor that one of our staff was used to solicit a sponsorship from a company. That bothered me. And I don't know whether that's true or not. I hope it isn't true. But if it were, that would seriously concern me.
Could I give one other piece of information, just to clarify what's been said here tonight?
Please.
The Florida statute section that I believe has been shopped around to a lot of us, including myself, is 112.313,
Right.
subsection 6. That's not a criminal statute. That's part of the Florida Ethics Code. So at
But
best, it would be an ethics charge that would be filed. But also what was sent around didn't have all the verbiage that's in the statute. But
Right.
just want to make sure it's
Yeah.
not left that anything done was a criminal act, because at best, we would be looking at the ethics codes.
So question though, and this is just for me because I tried to look it up. I was trying to read on my phone, which wasn't acceptable. So when I pulled it up, the penalty section, it was talking about felonies versus misdemeanors, but I couldn't find this specific section cited in there. So it's not considered criminal.
Ethics violations,
Would not be
they are not criminal. There's that whole structure. Ethics charge is made to the Ethics Commission. They do their investigation. They can impose a fine. So to that extent, there would be that, monetary penalty.
Okay.
But they would have no power beyond that.
Okay.
Thank you, Member Nelson. Member Moscoso?
Sure. So I think my issue is that you knew that this was a gray area, and yet you continued. I think this is stuff that we need to, if we have any concerns or questions, it needs to be brought before us. But going about it and using the title of mayor, using our address, maybe not using our seal, but using the branding, it's a very gray area. And then asking for $20,000 in sponsorships from different companies, for me, that is not acceptable. And it is, maybe you didn't use the seal, but there are a lot of other things that would imply that this is sponsored by the city of Titusville. When I found out about it, I asked Tom, because it looks like it's sponsored by the city of Titusville. Is it sponsored by the city of Titusville? No, it's not. I found out because another elected official, not on this board, showed me a text about the mayor's ball. Have you heard about it? No, I haven't heard a single thing. Oh, it has the city of Titusville's logo. I didn't know we were putting on a ball. And so I think that is my concern, is there are all of these little things and that have been happening, and I feel like I really just want to reiterate our form of government is our manager council. There's 5 of us on this board. We are all 5 elected, and I appreciate what you're doing, but I do think that it does need to be reined in a bit.
Thank you, Member Moscoso. Member Stokel?
Yes. City attorney, so moving forward, because we don't have a 501c3 right now, And I just looked up Cocoa Beach's Mayor's Ball. It looks like theirs is in partnership with Kiwanis, and it's supporting 2 nonprofits. Could we, without having a 501c3, is there something that we can do now, since this has already been advertised, that as a council, that we can discuss?
Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
you know, you don't absolutely need that 501c3. It could still be a city-sponsored event, and use that title, Mayor's Ball. It would, the kicker that got me to form the 501c3 in Palm Bay is that they were telling the public to make your tax-deductible checks made out to the city of Palm Bay. And I'm like, wait a
Gotcha.
minute,
Okay, that
IRS
makes
ain't gonna
sense.
like that. So that's where we put on the brakes. In this case, if people are directed, and I haven't seen how, you know, people are being directed, but if the city is putting this out there, but directing them to the organizer to buy tickets or to, you know, provide sponsorships or anything, that leaves
Yeah.
us out of that part of it, and we're just a sponsor at that point. So yes, it can still be
Okay,
done.
and
without
maybe
the 501.
that's something we look at, and I sent a message to Cocoa Beach, and I don't think theirs went before their council. So I think that quite frankly, I think it just depends on what we want to do. I feel like there's other feelings about our mayor that are kind of playing into this as well. So again, I think for the sake of the Mayor's Ball, I would like to have one in the North End. I think that it's already been advertised, whether we like it or not at this point. And I think moving forward, if we keep doing this, it would be nice for it to come before us, especially as we know who it's potentially benefiting. But I think, as our city attorney said, it's not criminal, potentially, you know, an ethics, using the logo. But my personal opinion, I'd like to move forward. I'd like to continue on the Mayor's Ball. I've had people reach out to me asking about it as well. And I honestly thought it's great that we're having somebody putting in the work and the effort to get recognition in the North End. So that's my take on it.
Thank you, Member Stokel. Member Nelson?
So I think if we're going to do this, it should be council voting on it and saying, yes, we're going to support. But I also think we need to put some guardrails on it, so to speak. And I'm not sure what those guardrails are. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else has thoughts about it, but I do think it's something council should decide.
Thank you, Member Nelson. I'll call on you here in a second, Member Stokel. So when I see the blood, sweat, and tears being poured in by the Valiant Air Command to put on one of the largest event venues in Brevard County, a nonprofit that attracts 30,000 visitors to our community every year, struggling as they try to build a building that probably intended costing $4 million and now is going to cost $5 million. They were looking at doing a ball, a gala, whatever you want to call it. I said, maybe we can work together. Maybe we can make this a success. And for that, I am proud. I understand there may be some concerns, but I also know that there's costs associated with starting a nonprofit and kicking off an event incurred by the city. So my goal was simply this: to help a local nonprofit and not cost the city any money. And to that point, I believe we've done pretty much just that. The staff time that anybody might be referring to was done by an unpaid intern who is volunteering to learn in the mayor's office. Go UCF. Letters, printing, it's all going to be paid for by the Valiant Air Command. They just did not have a way to mass print and mail. And I talked with our city manager about that. He said, yeah, that's fine. So again, the goal was not to use any city money. The goal was then to demonstrate proof of concept to then bring back before council and say, look what we can do. And I believe that with your guys' support, we are going to do that. And I even when I first met with them. And I said, yes, I think we need to get you up off the ground and help get you going. That is my belief. That is what I'm trying to do with every ability in me to make you successful as a convention center here in Titusville. But I also said, year 2, year 3, if this continues, that money needs to go to other places in the community as well. And to that, they agreed and said, yes, you help us rally the community to help us, we're going to help the community. And that is the goal. That is what we do as Titusville residents. We help each other out, no matter what. And with that being said, Member Moscoso.
City Manager, did you approve any funds to be used for this event?
I didn't hear your question.
Did you approve any funds, any city resources, any paper, any?
Christine is tracking it. It's been nominal. She said less than 2 hours of her time, and the rest of it has been with the mayor's intern, who's a volunteer, and totaled less than $400 total.
But was that, I mean, our printer was used, our paper was used.
Right. That's, she said less than $400 total.
Okay.
Of all supplies.
So I have a concern with that. What if I decided, I mean, is it okay if it's a good cause to be unethical in this sense? That's the question. What if I had my own thing that I wanted to go through to, and I said, let's go to Megan's Ball, and I choose a charity and start using the logo and start printing with paper from the city and using 2 hours of staff time? Would that be acceptable? It wouldn't be. And so I do think that we need to do this if we're going to do it. It's not, I wanted to do it this way because I wanted to help. It's, we needed to do it this way because we wanted to help. It's an easy conversation to have if it's had beforehand. And so I don't think just because something is good, it means that it's ethical. And so, City Manager, I would ask that no resources be used unless it's approved by the council. I think that's standard. I actually think that's part of our rules. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe the city manager has discretion in how he allows printing to be handled, and therefore said it was okay. Member Stokel.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. If any of us have sent thank you cards out on cards in the mail.
We get stationery, so that's
Right.
part of our thing. I mean, I've sent out, because I got a packet of stationery from Christine, and I send it from my house with my own postage, and yeah, and I give it to people who get appointed to P&Z, and like, thank you so much for serving. But I'm
that
not
came
using
from
staff time.
city. I feel like we're splitting hairs here, because I think that, to the mayor's point, he was trying to do something for our community. The city's trying to help support. And so if we have an issue and we say, as a council, we do not like this, we do not like what he's doing, we can say that, and we can say, please, no more funds. I'm not of that opinion. I think that he's using nominal fees, paper, trying to get this. It's getting recognition throughout the county. Other people are now looking into sponsoring it. I think this is a win. If we need to correct and make sure it comes before council, let's do that. But to keep on going and nitpicking, I think we're going to stifle any momentum that we're having.
I don't think it's nitpicking. I think it's accountability.
Member Moscoso, I think
Thank you.
Member Stokel had the floor.
So let's vote on that. So I think you're under you do not want any city resources being used. I'm okay if it's the $400 for what this is putting on and for the Valiant Air Command of what we're doing for our community. We have no place to host. When we have our awards dinner for our boards, that has to be held in MIMS. They're trying to do something here and build a convention center, and this conversation to me is just, I don't know.
Thank you, Member Stokel. Vice Mayor Cole.
I think that we're at a point here where we can continue to talk about this on and on and on. I think that we have expressed our opinions about everything. I totally agree with the mayor's ball. If we have to form a 501(c)(3) to support it, so be it. If we just made a motion that we were going to support the mayor's ball, so be it. I think that we have had opportune time to say what our displeasures were and maybe what remind us of what maybe ethical things were made, and we just move on and go. And make sure these things don't happen again. Because we can go on and on about this. And we can find different things that each one of us may have done that may have not been ethical. So I think at this juncture, I would like to let me ask a question. How long does it take to form a 501c3? I mean, just.
I mean, it wouldn't take long. It's a matter of filling out the forms for the state, and getting those, transmitted. That is almost, it's quick. Yeah, you'd have to have bylaws, you'd have to have,
Right.
and all that, like any corporation would be set up. And then, of course, the IRS work takes a little bit longer because to get that 501c3 status, which is really the end game, takes a little bit longer with the IRS. So I would say the whole thing would probably take maybe 3-4 months total, beginning to end. So it probably is not possible for this event.
Okay,
But
but-
it could definitely be possible for next year.
I understand. So I'm going to make two motions. The first motion that I'm going to make is that we wholeheartedly support the mayor's ball.
So can I ask a question for that?
Mhm.
With Valiant Air Command reimbursing the city for any expenses?
Yeah, so what I think the mayor, the vice mayor is asking for is that we, designated as a city-sponsored event in the fact of words or sponsorship. And then again, that was always a part of the plan was the Valley Air Command would be paying the admin expenses.
And I hate to split hairs, but I'm thinking it isn't a city-sponsored event, it's a city-supported event.
My bad, I misspoke.
Okay.
No, I did not ask the city for any money.
No.
So I have a motion from Vice Mayor Cole.
So I would second that motion.
I have a motion, I have a
Okay.
second. Any further discussion from council? Anybody in the audience like to weigh in on this motion?
Shifalo, I wonder, like some of the council, like Ms. Moscoso stated, what keeps any one of you from doing something, and it isn't nitpicking, $400, you have to get permission for a $45 fee to go to a conference that they're inviting newly elected city officials. This is that planning conference in Daytona Beach. She has to come and ask for $45. He spends $400 on something, and how, there's lots of nonprofits out here that need support and need a ball, the mayor's ball. We haven't had a mayor's ball in the 5 or 6, 8, 10 years I've lived in the city. Our former mayor didn't have one, and the mayor before Diesel didn't have any mayor's ball. So where's all the brouhaha and bravo about that? I just think it's not nitpicking. I think it should be a matter for the council to discuss it and decide and determine how you're going to deal with. This is not a minor thing. The mayor's ball and this one particular nonprofit, yes, everybody wants to support the Warbird Museum, but how do you single that out? Why not something else? Why not another one of the nonprofits in the city? I think you're just wrong by saying that it's nitpicking, and you're wrong by saying let's all get right behind it. And I think Ms. Moscoso is right, and Ms. Nelson even has some good points.
Thank you, Ms. Shiflo. Anybody else like to say anything? Sir? I think the thing that stops anybody is, doing the work. And I've spent
I was going to say that.
a lot of time, effort, and energy into making this happen.
And I think lesson learned too, like next go around, we can discuss which nonprofit,
Well, and that was always the plan.
Correct.
Hey, you're good. We were just chatting while we waited.
get stiff after sitting for a while. I'm Marvin Jewell with Valiant Air Command Museum. We are a 501(c)(3). We couldn't survive without it. As you know, we're putting on a big event all the time at our museum. This is part of our survival. A ball would be perfect for us because it brings in a lot of money, meet a lot of people, and it helps us tremendously. We got other big events coming in too, like SpaceX and so on. But part of the, I would like to say, Mayor, BOD, our membership, volunteers, really appreciate what you try to do for us. It's a great help. So thank you very much from Valiant Air Command.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? All right. So we had a motion and I have a second. Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Connors? Vice Mayor Cole?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Moscoso?
No.
Member Nelson?
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
I have another motion.
Vice Mayor, what's your next motion?
My next motion is for us to form a 501(c)(3). And I know it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but I think we need to just go along that path so that we don't fall into any rat holes from now on, okay?
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further council discussion?
Yes.
All right, Member Stokel.
Yeah, I would defer to you, Mayor. Since you're putting this on, would you prefer to wait until after to see how it goes, to see if you would want to go down that path to potentially host a mayor's ball moving forward? Or do you feel like it's worth it now to go ahead, that you feel like you will probably want to, it's worth the effort going into forming this?
Well, I believe that we will be successful in 2025 here. That was always my concern, was what if I do this and nobody shows up, right? And then you waste all the time and didn't raise any money. But I think there's plenty of avenues in our city that could use help and support, to Ms. Schiflo's point. I mean, there's a lot of nonprofits, and quite frankly, I raise money for a lot of different nonprofits here in or Titusville specifically. So I think it'll take some time to get that around, especially given our backlog at city attorney. So I would be for supporting moving that ball forward and getting it established.
Okay.
And then hopefully we can get that going. And just another point of information that has nothing to do with this current vote, but we only have one city event that we do. That's Red, White, and Boom.
Yeah.
That's the only really citywide function that we do. And I think I heard resoundingly from the voters that elected me is they want more events. And this is a part of it. And it's a good way to not only help out the community, but provide that much needed event to happen here in Titusville. So I do believe we have a motion and a second on forming a 501(c)(3) for the city. And just another point of information, I believe the police and fire departments both have one respectively, correct? Yes, they do. But we as a city do not. So I think it makes sense for that to happen. City Clerk, are there any cards on this matter?
No, sir.
Okay. Does anybody want to speak on the matter of the city forming a 501(c)(3)? All right. City Clerk?
Vice Mayor Cole?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Moscoso?
Yes.
Member Nelson? Yes. Mayor Connors?
Yes. Thank you very much. Member Moscoso is done with her report. Member Nelson, did you have anything to add for your report?
I'm just going to say, went to the Boys and Girls Club breakfast this morning. 3 of our kids from Titusville spoke. 2 of them are dying to become NFL football players.
Yeah.
They're 11, 12 years old. We keep telling them they need a backup plan.
They need to be playing pee-wee football first.
That would probably help. And one young lady who Tony would recognize, she wants to be an attorney. So hopefully our new city attorney will let her shadow for an hour or two. She's 12, I think. Very smart, very, very cute kid. So it was nice seeing where the kids are now and knowing where they come from. And they've become such great kids. So that's it.
Thank you, Member Nelson. Member Stokel?
Yes. I need to request approval for travel. I guess even though we have it budgeted, the internal auditor said she still needs a motion and a vote from City Council for all travel. So I would like to request approval for travel for this past August that has already happened. And then for all the Florida League of Cities events for this next fiscal year, which would be Legislative Conference in November, Legislative Action Days in January, and next annual conference in August of 2026. And it is built into the budget, but we do need a vote and approval.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Well, I'm assuming Member Stokel made the motion and Vice Mayor Cole made the second. Any further discussion? Anybody from the audience want to weigh in? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much,
And
Member
then
Stokel.
I have one more item. Well, two. One, Mayor, I don't know, are you speaking at the delegation meeting as on behalf of Titusville?
Yes, ma'am, I did sign up
Okay.
because there was a sign-up deadline.
Yes.
So I completed that, and from the information I've gathered from our newly hired lobbyist, Mr. Steele, is it's mostly just keep it short and brief and thank you and let him kind of do all the work on the back end.
Yes. And then our city manager sent us an email about Space Coast League of City priorities. You guys should have all received that. I think we had 6 on there from prior to think about, and then we'll be talking about it at our next meeting. So just wanted to reiterate, if those are still going to be priorities, please be thinking about them. We had on there lagoon, vocational training, widening of 405, home rule, housing, and live local. So look at that list, please, and then at our next meeting, I believe it will be on our agenda for us to finalize, and then that could be helpful for the mayor if he decides to bring up any of those priorities during the delegation meeting. I'll be at the delegation meeting speaking on behalf of Space Coast League of Cities and Florida League of Cities items as well. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Member Stokel. I guess that leaves me. I don't really have much. I think we're moving in the right direction. We have a lot of cool things going on with our CRA, downtown merchants are getting together. There's bustling in the area. I was at an event I was at like 6 events that Saturday, but the one event I was at, I was downtown at the Leaf Lounge. And while the event was going on, I was watching out the window and just counting how many people walked by. And it was amazing how many people are utilizing our downtown, and even Dr. Aker and I talked about it just before the meeting today. So downtown is moving and grooving. Our commercial spaces are bustling. We just need to keep permits and COs aflowing so that we can increase our ad valorem tax revenue so we have more money to spend on healthcare. And I think I summed that up pretty good. I know, right? All right. All right, City Manager.
Yes, sir. I have one action item on the city manager's report, and that is to set a date for the economic development workshop. And I think we may want to retitle it Economic Development Special Meeting so that we can take action as opposed to a workshop where just guidance would be provided. And the dates are, primary date is 13th of November at 5:30. I believe that's a Thursday. And the secondary date is 20 November at 5:30. So request council set a time and date for this economic development special meeting.
Thank you very much, City Manager. Yeah, when we discussed this the last time, I believe we all agreed to call a special city council meeting so that if we needed, we could take action. Glad that I caught it was a workshop before it got too far because I want to make sure if we need to do anything we can. But anybody have any dates? There's either the 13th or 20th. Is there a date that you cannot do it? Member Stokel?
I definitely cannot do it on the 20th. I'll be at the National League of Cities conference. The 13th, I may be at a work event. I don't know yet. So I definitely can't do the 20th. So if we have to pick a date, it would be the 13th. My other request or question would be, could this be a workshop and then we make the final decision at a council meeting?
That would be up to council to decide.
Yeah, just in the off chance I can't be there, that would be my request because I know the council meeting schedule, but it's okay. I don't want everyone to change it because of me, but.
I would say that if anything were to come above that and you couldn't be here, I personally would feel if any final decision needed to be made, we'd do it as a full body.
Okay, thank you.
So even though we might be able to schedule it right now as if we could take action, given the opportunity that you are here, but if you are not, then, I think we're all decent enough people to make sure that you're involved in the conversation.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Cole?
So the 13th is better for me than the 20th also.
All right, so I'm hearing a consensus. Member Moscoso, does the 13th work for you? All right, looks like we're good for the 13th, City Manager.
Well, last item is this informational item, but I just wanted to bring it to council's attention because it highlights the initiative of one of our young staff members who really is taking on a tremendous event. She heard council's discussions about Citizens Academy and we talk about it in our staff meetings about increasing citizen outreach. And she's already developed a curriculum. She's already reached out to find a venue, and she wants to hold a first inaugural citizens conference. And I think it's a great idea, and it's patterned after successful events in Hillsborough and Orange County. And some of the programs range from community policing to permitting to local governments. How does the city work? How does solid waste? I mean, just tremendous. And it's a whole morning, and staff will be instructors, and we'll get buy-in from our partners in chamber. So that's Lily Galeo. She's definitely a rising star. So I wanted to put that out there, that really excited about her volunteering to coordinate it. So set your calendars for March 7th.
Thank you very much. We always appreciate everything that Lily brings to the table, and I know Brad's excited about what she's doing as well as all of us. So thank you very much. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. This item, and although the memo in here says it's from the city manager, it's not. It has to be from me statutorily. Under Florida statute, the city attorney can request that council have an executive session for litigation. And this is the pending case of Liston versus the city of Titusville, which is case number 05-2024-CA-050881, which is pending here in Brevard County in the Circuit Court. The purpose of this would be to discuss the statutorily allowed items, which is litigation strategy, settlement, and expenses. And so if that meets with your approval, we'll have it set up. I believe they have a tentative date. I'm not sure if it's confirmed, but it will be publicly noticed as required.
Thank you very much, City Attorney. I believe Christine.
Yeah, I think it's September 22nd is the date that I had on my schedule for this. So.
Let me double check.
So you just need us to vote on it and approve that, or?
According to Florida statute, I have to make a request. So I guess implied in the word request is that you say yes. So yeah, if I get consensus that we'll have that executive session.
Thank you very much. Anybody want to make the motion or just consensus yes?
I think consensus is fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Everybody seems
agree.
in favor. It's all on our calendar except for maybe Vice Mayor Cole.
Yeah.
Thank you for proving my point.
Yeah, thanks.
All righty. That being said, we're at the end of our meeting. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned.